Chapter 2016. The six illusionary doppelgangers were covered in the law of fire, and a terrifying temperature was faintly spreading. A powerful pressure suppressed the hearts of all the prodigies. Among the prodigies present, there were some who had cultivated the law to the realm of perfection. However, this was the first time they had seen someone as powerful as Lin Chun. 7 Lin Chun blocked the front of the Thousand Snow Pass formation. The formation was not big, but the pressure was extremely strong. The prodigies who had been clamoring earlier were silent again. If there was only one Lin Chun, they would definitely have a chance to fight if they joined forces. They might even be able to kill their way out and destroy the Renegade's monument in the Thousand Snow Pass to achieve their goal. However, if the number of people increased to 7, it would be completely different. Young Master Qianling's death was still vivid in their minds. If there were 7 Lin Chun guarding, assuming they could kill their way out, the price they would pay would be extremely heavy. If they were not careful, 1/3 or half of the prodigies present would die, or even more. It was not worth taking such a huge risk for a trial. As expected, the Heavens Prides of Star Continent were the first to retreat, like the receding tide. Everyone stared at Lin Chun with deep fear, knowing full well what was going on. Once the Star Continent retreated, the prodigies of the other 4 continents could not stand firm. Let's go. This person is much more ferocious than some forces in the Second Realm Sea. I don't want to face his law of fire head-on. It's as strong as a ghost. That guy from the Star Continent used his law of fire and his divine artifact to defend, but it was burned through by his law of fire. If it were us, the result would not be much better. This battle is a loss. All the prodigies retreated dejectedly. In the end, none of the more than 1,000 prodigies remained. On the other side of the snow mountain, Yi Qingwu and Shun Lingshuang looked at each other. The 2 girls smiled knowingly and went down the snow mountain silently. Then, they called for the 4 divine guards and went in the direction of the 4 continents' prodigies. As soon as the 2 girls left, Lin Chen's 6 illusionary doppelgangers disappeared. Whoosh! At this time, a beam of blue divine light descended in front of the Thousand Snow Pass. Zhao Anren flew over and asked Lin Chen curiously, "Why did you leave them alive? I thought that with your temperament, you would annihilate them all." Lin Chen smiled. "They aren't my enemies. I let them go so that I can operate better in the future." At this moment, the linen-clothed old man appeared. He stroked his beard and smiled. "It seems like you already have an answer in your heart." He sized up Lin Chun and clicked his tongue in wonder. "Your laws have already reached the realm of perfection and are not far from the realm of divine attainment. But your actual power is not inferior to the realm of divine attainment. Truly a monster, it seems like you're not in a hurry to grasp a second law and have chosen to specialize in one within this year." The hemp-clothed old man gave him a thumbs up. A clear choice. Lin Chen's cultivation level was still at the early stages of the 2nd tier of the divine realm. He had 22,000 desolate power points as his foundation, Tai Universe and Extreme God's Possession. In addition to mental cultivation method plus 17, the increase was 7 times. Just his cultivation level alone was 257,000 desolate power points, equal to the late stages of the 6th tier of the divine realm. However, these were only the effects that came with Lin Chen's body. After the Tai Universe technique was perfected, it could truly be called Lin Chen's Crimson Mental Cultivation Method, which was the laws. With 5 volumes of the Tai Universe technique, Lin Chen's Tai Universe would possess all the laws that the host possessed. Every law that Lin Chen grasped belonged to the category of mental cultivation method enhancement and innate talent enhancement. In other words, Lin Chen's law of fire, which was at the realm of perfection, was 7 times more powerful than the same level. If the same level opponent's law of fire was 10, then Lin Chen's law of fire would be 117. It seemed like the same level, but in reality, it was not within the same realm. 10 times of divine power, 10 times of laws. Lin Chen's battle power had increased by leaps and bounds. Outside the Thousand Snow Pass, just as the geniuses of the 5 continents left, 6 figures with hidden auras suddenly descended. Leave behind everything on you. Otherwise, die. When the auras of the 4 great 9th-level Divine Realm experts were released, the expressions of the prodigies changed slightly. 4 9th-level Divine Realm experts? There's actually an ambush? 4 9th-level Divine Realm old seniors ambushing us youngsters. Shameless. Damn it. Didn't you say you would let us go? You don't have any morals. The prodigies turned pale with fright and instantly dispersed. A 9th-level Divine Realm expert was considered a rare top combat power in the Second Realm Sea. It was extremely rare to encounter one, but they actually encountered 4 of them at once. However, a portion of the prodigies had just escaped when they encountered another group of interception and robbery. Outside the reef group, the prodigies of the other 2 continents had just escaped the encirclement of the 9th-level Divine Realm experts when they encountered the interception of the doppelgangers. Lin Shun, didn't you say you would let us go? Why did you use your doppelgangers to stop us? The prodigies questioned angrily. Lin Shin's doppelgangers were especially calm. I said I wouldn't kill you, but I didn't say I wouldn't let you pay the protection fee. It would be a waste not to take the divine artifacts and resources that are delivered to my doorstep. If I fight with you guys in the Thousand Snow Pass and destroy the seniors' divine monuments, the gains won't make up for the losses. The prodigies of the 2 continents glared angrily and couldn't help but curse. Everyone started to trash talk. The scene was very civilized. Lin Shin's doppelganger shrugged. Now, are you guys on hand over the Destiny Plant Pouch yourselves? Or do you want me to do it personally? The corners of everyone's mouths twitched. When they recalled Lin Shin's monstrous speed and combat power, they couldn't help but want to retreat. The space of the Realm Sea was not like the 5 great continents. Without the Divine King Realm, it was difficult to travel through space. Their life-saving methods were not many here. Inside the Thousand Snow Pass, Lin Shin asked, Senior, has there been any activity in the Second Realm Sea this year? What Lin Shan was referring to was naturally the 5 great continents and the Divine Realm. The hemp-clothed old man said, There's been no activity for now. However, I believe that in the next few years, there will be actions against you very soon. It was common for the top experts of the Divine Realm to cultivate in seclusion for decades or centuries. It was still unknown whether Lin Chin's battle situation in the Second Realm Sea had spread to the Divine Realm or the 3 great divine races. Zhao Anren said, Are you going to return to the Lin family first? No. Lin Chun shook his head. Let's put this matter aside first. Our primary goal now is to rendezvous with Shangwan Yun and then head to the Third Realm Sea to establish our stronghold and strengthen our own strength. Zhao Anren said in surprise. What are you going to do? Do you want to try to rope in the other forces of the 5 great continents? Imperial Father also has a lot of connections around him. If we talk about benefits, maybe we can. Lin Shin shook his head and said, No, this kind of force can't become a true ally. If we form an alliance because of benefits, sooner or later, they will betray us because of greater benefits. The forces of the 5 great continents won't join us. Only those who have been oppressed to the brink and have nothing are our primary allies now. As if there was a sharp glint in his eyes, Lin Shun said seriously, We need to unite our true friends and attack our true enemies. Zhao Anren suddenly understood and said, Unite all the oppressed in the Realm Sea? Aren't you afraid that others will laugh at you for being a saint? Lin Shin smiled lightly. If helping the oppressed means being called a saint, then these people who laugh at me just happen to live the way the enemy wants them to. This kind of people are ignorant and sad. Our enemy is more united than any other group, and the oppressed are proud of being alone and greedy for benefits, taking pleasure in belittling each other. Although it is unfortunate to be a slave, if you know how to struggle and unite, there is still hope to break free. But if you find beauty and joy in the life of a slave, you will be a slave forever kneeling on the ground. Chapter 2017. The hemp-robed old man looked at Lin Shun, his gaze becoming increasingly gratified. Although he was the 23rd person to step into this place, he was the only one who had memorized all of the divine steel's wills. Perhaps this time he would be able to give a different answer. The hemp-robed old man looked at Lin Shun and asked seriously, "Do you really know what you want to do?" Lin Shun said seriously, very clearly, "Are you really sure? Either you succeed or you die." Ha ha ha. Good. This is the answer this old man wants to hear the most. "Little fellow, I'll give it to you before we part." The hemp-robed old man passed 6 glazed jade scrolls to Lin Shun. When Lin Shun opened them and looked, his face lit up with joy. They were actually maps with coordinates from the 1st Realm Sea to the 6th Realm Sea, especially the coordinates of the 1st and 3rd Realm Seas. They were nearly perfect and incomparably detailed. They even clearly marked which areas had what kind of cosmic disaster energy. Just the value of these 6 maps far surpassed Lin Chen's current wealth. The hemp-robed old man said with a smile, "This is a map marked by a soldier when we followed our teacher into battle. Although it has been a while, there shouldn't be a second place in the entire Realm Sea that has a more detailed map. This soldier has an extremely good relationship with me. Even the 3 great god clans don't have this map." Lin Shun cupped his fists. "Thank you, Senior, for entrusting this to me." After bidding farewell to the hemp-robed old man, Lin Shun and Zhao Anren left Thousand Snow Pass. As they left, Thousand Snow Pass was suddenly covered with a layer of concealing enchantment, as if it had never appeared. Outside Thousand Snow Pass, several streams of light suddenly streaked across the void. It was Shunling Shuang, Yi Qingwu, and the 4 divine guards of Martial God Mansion. "Master!" Shunling Shuang threw herself into Lin Chen's embrace, her white wrists wrapped around Lin Chen's neck as she circled around Lin Chen several times. The Martial God Manor's 4 divine guards wanted to say something, but hesitated. In the end, they shook their heads and sighed. Lin Chen smiled. Although this girl's appearance had matured, her heart was still the same as before. It looked like she had still placed her focus on cultivation during these years in the immortal realm. Shunling Shuang swayed her long pink hair and waved her jade-like hands. She said excitedly, "Master, we went to rob." "Oh no, we went out for a walk and came back with a treasure." His beloved disciple obediently handed it over with both hands, handing over thousands of fate plant pouches. These destiny plant pouches, some were top grade, some belonged to Realm Sea powerhouses, and some belonged to the geniuses of the 5 continents. There were all kinds of them. Yi Qingwu teased, "This year's battle results in the 1st Realm Sea are all here." Lin Shun gave Shunling Shuang a thumbs up and cupped his hands in thanks to the 4 divine guards of the Martial God government. When he received the spoils of war, his phantom doppelganger also withdrew. When he took out a large number of destiny plant pouches, Yi Qingwu and Shunling Shuang were slightly stunned. Yi Qingwu clicked her tongue and laughed. "Good. Handsome Lin, you even calculated on us. You predicted that we would make a move, right?" Lin Chun smiled faintly. "You have to pay to see me fight." Staring at his smiling face, Yi Qingwu suddenly said, "You have changed." "Oh." Lin Chun raised his eyebrows and laughed mockingly. "Have I become more handsome?" "And very handsome. What is your target this time?" "3rd Realm Sea." Shunling Shuang immediately raised her hand and said, "I want to go too." "No." The 4 divine guards immediately berated her. "Miss, we could turn a blind eye to your battle in the 2nd Realm Sea, but we definitely can't let you go to the 3rd Realm Sea. In the 1st Realm Sea and 2nd Realm Sea, divine kings could tear the void and move forward. However, the space-time in the 3rd Realm Sea was especially stable. Even divine kings couldn't destroy it. Their perception was very limited. Moreover, in the 3rd Realm Sea, other than the human race, there were also powerful races like the dragon race and the phoenix race. Each of them occupied an area and fought for hegemony. Shunling Shuang saw that the 4 divine guards' attitude was so firm. She couldn't help but look at Lin Xian for help. The 4 divine guards understood and immediately said, "Your Excellency Lin Xian, Martial God Manor only has 1 child. Although you have helped our manor, We can't make a decision on this matter. Please forgive us. If you don't agree, we can only take tough measures. Lin Shan said, Ling Shuang, what we're going to do next is indeed very dangerous. You have to think about your family. A trace of anxiety appeared on her charming face. Ling Shuang said, but Lin Shan patted her shoulder. Now you're no longer alone. You finally found your family. You have to be more considerate of them. But it was also difficult for her to find Master. Ling Shuang finally nodded silently. The 4 divine guards of Martial God Manor heaved a sigh of relief. Then, Your Excellency Lin Shan, let's part ways here. The 4 divine guards cupped their hands and took Ling Shuang away. The latter looked at Lin Shan and the others reluctantly. Yi Qingwu smiled and sent her off. Then, she looked at Lin Shan. A dignified expression appeared on her beautiful face for the first time. She pushed Zhao Anren away, grabbed Lin Shan's shoulder, and asked seriously, What is your real goal this time? Lin Shan was stunned for a moment before he laughed out loud. The human race is great harmony. Everyone is like a dragon. Divine world, star continent. Above the vast heavenly river, there was a divine palace that stood tall. On the top floor of the divine palace, a woman in a moon dress leaned on a jade chair. Her jade-like hands were supporting her chin. Her black hair was hanging down. She looked absent-minded. Her cherry-red lips were slightly opened as she muttered something. A black-robed man with a stocky back and a bare waist walked down the stairs. When he saw the woman's appearance, he teased, Oh, when did our Shuangjue become so melancholic? Are you worried about that kid? The woman in the moon-colored dress cast a sidelong glance at him, a hint of worry appearing on her cold and elegant face. I'm not worried about the current him. He was able to scare away the 10 great divine kings of the divine realm of the star continent. I'm afraid that he's extremely safe now. The black-robed man sat down casually. I heard that kid is very impressive. He can kill 10,000 gods with one spear. He really scared me. He casually picked up a berry and bit into it. He clicked his tongue and said, Then what are you thinking about? Does our Shuangjue also have times when he's thinking about love? Qin Shuangjue glared at him. When she looked into the distance, her brows were full of seriousness. I'm worried about what will happen next. The Divine World's 5 continents pill gathering will be held soon. The black-robed man suddenly understood. Is it the gathering that the Alchemist Association asked you to participate in? The alchemy geniuses of the 5 continents will gather. TSK, TSK, TSK. It's going to be a fierce competition. Qin Shuangjue said seriously. This time, there will be an emissary from the Divine World coming. He will personally give out the honor of the Divine World's great achievements. Those who receive the honor will be qualified to enter the Divine World. There's even a possibility of climbing up to the 3 divine clans. The black-robed man teased. Are you afraid that he won't come? Qin Shuangjue face-bombed. I'm afraid that he will act recklessly. Qin Shuangjue sighed softly. I have a feeling that when he comes to the 5 continents in the future, perhaps the Divine World will welcome a great change. Because of him, I'm afraid that the barrier of the Divine World for 50 million eras is not something that he can shake alone. Lin Shan, please don't come. Chapter 2018. As the old man watched Lin Chen's departing figure, tears unknowingly streamed down his face. Even Lin Chen himself did not know that the moment he left Thousand Snow Pass, 3 red soul fires silently burned behind him. The history of the human race in the divine realm was as long as 50 million eras. One era was 10,000 years, and 50 million years was 500 billion years. How could he change the current situation of 500 billion years with his own strength? After experiencing the battle in the Realm Sea, Lin Shan understood the importance of numbers. No one could ignore the number of true gods, and Lin Shan was no exception. If those 20,000 true gods had all joined forces, even someone as strong as Lin Shan, who used the ultimate heaven-defying, would not have been able to break through their defense. Or if the 8,000 true gods, led by the 9 great heavenly ghosts, were all existences that controlled the laws, Lin Shun would not have been able to break through their defense with one strike. The trump card of the ultimate heaven-defying had been completely exposed in front of the 10 great divine kings and Lin Xingchen. If he could not break through the defensive experts with higher cultivation, or if he encountered a large number of enemies in a short period of time, the trump card of the ultimate heaven-defying would be useless. The next time they attacked, it would definitely not be as simple as the previous lineup. In the future battles, he would definitely have allies to contend against the numbers of the enemy. Lin Shun had his own reasons for letting the geniuses of the 5 continents go. His gaze had long been set extremely far away. Everything in the world had internal and external causes. External causes were the conditions for change, and internal causes were the foundation of change. He wanted to make arrangements for the source of the internal causes, and even more, he wanted to take action for the external causes to strengthen. 7 days later, in the first layer of the realm sea, on an island with waning lights. On a cliff in the island, Lin Chen finally met with Shang Wanyin. At the peak of the cliff, the cold wind was biting cold. After seeing Lin Chen again, Shang Wanyin said indifferently, "Big official Lin, you've come early. I thought you would be in seclusion for another 8 to 10 years." Lin Chen blushed with shame and coughed lightly. "I was delayed a bit, and it was all thanks to my sister Shangwan. In the future, if you need anything, just let me know. Other than using a gun, everything else is trivial." Shangwan Yin stared at him and suddenly burst into laughter. It was as beautiful as 100 flowers blooming. She muttered in her heart, "How did you grow up? You looked like you were 16 or 17 years old before." Then Shangwan Yin said solemnly, "The people that Miss Yi Qing Wu saved and the real gods who stayed on the island, there are a total of 13,000 people. They have been gathered at the center of the island. You can go there anytime." Lin Chen's gaze was gentle. "Many thanks." Shangwan Yin turned around to face the bright moonlight and sighed bitterly. "I'm tired. I'll leave the rest to you." When Lin Shun stepped down from the edge of the cliff, another beautiful figure seemed to be waiting for Lin Shun. She walked out. Her eyebrows were like a painting, and she was dressed in a palace dress that was devastatingly beautiful. Her beautiful eyes stared at Lin Shun. It was Shangwan Yun's younger sister, Shangwan Qi. When she brushed past Lin Shun, she said faintly, "For you, elder sister rebelled against the family. She dissolved all of the family's businesses and used them to help the real gods who were sold here. Now, she has even been expelled from the family. Please, don't disappoint elder sister's kind intentions." Lin Chen's palm trembled slightly, and he nodded solemnly. "I will." The lights were like candles, illuminating the night. In a valley at the center of the island, over 10,000 humans were lying on the ground. Compared to the palaces and tall buildings, they preferred the vast land. After all, in the realm sea, they had enough of being bullied and betrayed. Standing in the vast land, it was easier to see if there were enemies coming. Suddenly, everyone stood up and looked at the silver-robed youth who was walking towards them. Under the illumination of the lights, his pitch-black eyes were as bright as jade. There seemed to be a sea of stars in his eyes. He was not like the leaders of other factions who stood above everyone and spoke. Instead, he walked into the crowd and stood at the center of them. A trembling man wanted to bow to him, but the youth pressed down on his shoulder. "Friend, you and I are the same. You don't need to bow to me." Lin Shin smiled gently and faced everyone. Xue Jiaming was also in the crowd. When he saw Lin Shun, his face lit up with joy, but he didn't say anything. Then Lin Shin spoke loudly. "Everyone here, we have the same eyes, but we have seen different hells and experienced similar despair. Some people curled up their legs and hugged their knees. Some people were silent and stared at Lin Shin. Some people watched calmly, as if waiting for a reply. Today, I only came to tell everyone that my goal is to unite true friends, that is, all those who are oppressed, and attack the true enemies, that is, the 3 great god clans. I cannot guarantee when our story will come to an end, but I can guarantee that those who follow me will only die standing, not live kneeling. Tonight, everyone has 2 choices. 1, follow me and walk into the unknown. 2. Leave now. Those who leave, I will give you divine jades to help you leave. Whoosh! As soon as he finished speaking, the divine jades piled up like a mountain, gave off a white jade-like brilliance, shining brightly. Those who leave, 200 divine jades each, and I will not stop you. Lin Chen's last words caused quite a number of people to be surprised. They rarely saw forces in the realm sea that were willing to take the initiative to help others, or rather, it was simply their first time seeing it. Now, the other party was actually paying them to leave? Count me in. They don't treat people as people. I have long wanted to deal with them. Since I'm going to die anyway, it's better to die standing than to die kneeling. I'll do it. The gods who were rescued at the Sea Moon auction were the first to join in and immediately express their stance. A middle-aged man stood up and asked, Your Excellency Lin Shun, do you know how many god kings, god masters, and even god emperors there are in the 3 great god clans? You dare to resist them? In fact, with just the people here, any god king from the 3 great god clans can destroy us with a flick of a finger. Although you have helped us, you saved us and then turned around to send us to our deaths. What is the difference between this choice and suicide? This person asked what a portion of people were thinking. Lin Shun said sternly, You are partially correct. At the current stage, we are indeed unable to contend against the 3 great god clans. But have you thought about it? Don't just consider what we have done, you also have to consider what the 3 great god clans have done. Just every year, how many true god humans are sold to the realm sea by the underground forces under the 3 great god clans? Just the first layer of the realm sea. I fear there are more than tens of thousands. Lin Chen's gaze became sharper. What if we count the people in the second layer of the realm sea? What if we count the humans who have been exploited by many forces in the realm sea? What if we count the various ancient races that have been exiled to the god-desolate star field? If we can unite these forces with this speed in less than 10 years, our lineup will exceed 1 million true gods. This journey will be filled with fire seeds. There is no need to worry that this torrential fire will not burn. Everyone was stunned. Lin Chen said solemnly, I still believe that hope is fought out. Lin Chen's voice spread through everyone's primordial spirit and soul. Even if the ones standing in front of us are the 3 strongest god clans in history. When everyone looked back again, there were already many people who suddenly stood out. Right and wrong, success and failure vanish in the blink of an eye. Only the history of future generations can be seen. Since we have said so, there is only one choice. Divine King Zhou, who was known as licentious and obsessed with women, loved demon Fox Daji deeply, but the history books recorded that he only had one son. And Divine King Zhou, who was recorded as living a frugal life, wearing commoner's clothes, working in the fields, and still managing the god nation conscientiously, had more than 100 descendants. History is like a little girl who can be dressed up by anyone, but it cannot stop generation after generation from prying into its truth. We are willing to take this trip, see where the end of this hell leads to. Tens of thousands of true divinities simultaneously erupted with overwhelming fighting spirit. Chapter 2019. Of the 13,000 true gods, 10,000 stayed, and more than 3,000 chose to leave. Lin Shun fulfilled his promise and sent them all away safely. The next day, when the 10,000 true gods gathered on Hidden Abyss Island saw the 5 crimson booklets in front of them, they were dumbfounded. They were completely dumbfounded. Lin Shun said loudly, Next, I'll teach you the Crimson Mental Cultivation Technique, Tai Fuqian Mantra. You can use it after cultivating the first 3 volumes. When you cultivate the complete 5th volume, you'll be able to use the Crimson Mental Cultivation Technique. Also, you won't lose your cultivation when you convert any mental cultivation technique. You'll even retain some of the characteristics of your predecessor's mental cultivation technique. Crimson Mental Cultivation Technique. Tai Fuqian Mantra. Could it be the Fuqian Arch? How Fuqian's 5 volumes Fuqian Mantra? Is this for us? Oh my God, am I dreaming? There's actually a cultivation technique one level higher than the orange grade in this world. A crimson mental cultivation technique is actually recorded in pen and ink. Are we going to cultivate in seclusion? While everyone was confused, Lin Shin said, "No, there's no time for you to cultivate in seclusion. You have to learn it as you go." Lin Shun flipped his palm, and tens of thousands of crimson books floated in front of everyone. It wasn't that Lin Shin's attribute transfer function couldn't be used, but Lin Shin's cultivation techniques were all recorded with his spiritual power. The Tai Fuqian mantra was originally recorded in pen and ink, so it couldn't be incorporated into the system and directly instilled into others' cultivation memories. Rumble. With a loud noise, divine light shone on the island, and dazzling divine light descended upon everyone. A dazzling array of divine weapons piled up like mountains were placed in front of everyone as if they were free. Everyone was shocked again. There were actually tens of thousands of divine weapons. Most of them were low-grade and mid-grade divine weapons, and a few were high-grade divine weapons. There were sabers, spears, swords, halberds, staffs, axes, hammers, hooks, whips, fans, shields, gourds, and so on. It could be said that there were all kinds of divine weapons. Lin Shan said in a deep voice, "Speed is crucial in war. Choose the weapons that you're good at. Keep the mental cultivation technique well. We'll set off immediately." Recently, there were much fewer disputes in the First Realm Sea. Lin Shan had a premonition that a storm was coming. He had to rush towards the three-layered Realm Sea first. After the initial shock, no one dared to be careless and chose the weapons they were most comfortable with. A year and a half, Shunling Shuang and Yi Qingwu's actions, as well as the battle in the Realm Sea, had instead laid the most solid foundation for Lin Shun. Apart from a few youngsters, most of the true gods had chosen the most suitable divine weapon for themselves. It was not that the highest grade was the best, but that the most suitable divine weapon could be used to its fullest potential. A person at the first tier of the divine realm holding a high-grade divine artifact was unable to unleash much of its power. Of course, Lin Xingqian was an exception. Of the remaining 10,000 true gods, the highest was at the 6th stage of the divine realm, while the lowest was at the 1st stage of the divine realm. However, once they joined, Lin Shun treated them equally and showed no favoritism. Once everything was ready, with Lin Shun as the leader, the team split into 3 groups and set off. Team 1 was led by Lin Shun for the time being. The second team was temporarily led by Zhao Anren. The third team was temporarily led by Shui, Jiaming, and Shang Wanyan. Every team would be accompanied by 2 of Lin Chen's doppelgangers. Shangwan Qi parted ways with her sister and returned to the Shangwan residence. She was powerless to change her sister's decision. As for the little demoness Yi Qingwu, she was too noisy. Lin Shan was afraid that she would lead the team astray, so he arranged for her to be in the first team. Using the 2 supreme-grade spatial divine artifact shuttles of flying Apsara that Yi Qingwu had obtained from the Yi family, the 2 huge black warships carried everyone through the dark passage and retreated from the secret sea area of the first layer of the Realm Sea. As soon as Lin Shun and the others left the Hidden Abyss Island, the auras of the distant reefs slowly disappeared. Lin Shun, who had the 6 maps of the Realm Sea, had the advantage of time and place. He actually flew across the first layer of the Realm Sea and arrived at the center of the second layer of the Realm Sea in 7 days. The 2 shuttles of flying Apsara traveled at an extremely fast speed. As long as everyone injected enough godly power, they could advance at the full speed of a true god who had comprehended the law of wind. Even Lin Chun didn't know that the little demoness had hidden such a good treasure. A supreme grade divine artifact was basically called a law divine artifact. Such a treasure was hard to come by even in the 9th layer of the divine realm. There were no divine kings in Lin Chen's team, so they couldn't tear through the void of the first 2 layers of the Realm Sea to advance. The process of advancing was divided into 2 shifts. Everyone took turns to switch, hurrying along while cultivating their mental cultivation techniques. Why didn't Lin Shun put everyone into the plant bag of fate or the spatial divine artifact first and move on his own? Because it was impossible. This was also the reason why the 9 heavenly ghosts brought the 10,000 gods with them. A supreme-grade plant bag of fate could only store a limited number of creatures. Under the premise that there were spiritual plants of fate inside, creatures at the divine realm were almost unable to enter. Forcefully entering would risk bursting the plant bag of fate. After reaching the peak of the 4th layer of the divine realm, all of them were true gods who had comprehended the law. In order to contain the strongest power in the world, the law, space-time, had to be more stable. As for the rarer supreme-grade plant bag of fate, under the premise of cultivating spiritual plants of fate, it could only contain one true god who controlled the law at most. Zhao Anren, who was injured earlier, hid in Lin Chen's supreme-grade plant bag of fate. Crimson lava churned as volcanoes erupted one after another. Fiery red islands stood in front of everyone's eyes. Lin Chen stood on the bow of the ship, his eyes narrowed. After crossing this area and moving forward for a while, there will be a secret entrance to the 3rd layer of the Realm Sea. Little Demonis, why are you calling me? You, Luo Yu, and Anren, follow me into the 3rd layer of the Realm Sea and open the way for the team. According to the map, the coordinates of the 3rd layer of the Realm Sea that this route led to would be a secret island with rich, divine jade veins. It was the most suitable place to set up a stronghold. Lin Chen didn't say anything. He pulled a small team, put in 3 supreme-grade plant bags of fate, and left the team first. Then, the extreme wind god set unfolded. With a boom, endless sound waves were stirred up, sweeping across the horizon. His speed was instantly revealed, stunning everyone in the shuttle of flying Apsara. 1.5 years ago, Lin Shun displayed a speed that even those in the 8th layer of the divine realm were shocked by with the 4-piece wind god set. Now that he was moving at full speed with the 5-piece wind god set, even those in the 9th layer of the divine realm might not be able to keep up with his speed. Another 5 days later, in the 3rd layer of the Realm Sea, the dusky sky seemed to be without light. If the 2nd layer of the Realm Sea was a world that made people terrified, then the 3rd layer of the Realm Sea was filled with despair and suffocating pressure everywhere. Here, even divine kings couldn't tear the space apart, nor could they travel through space for a short period of time. Without enough strength to set foot here, even self-preservation would be a problem. On an island in the Moon Dragon Mountain Range, Lin Shun and the rest released their divine soul power one after another, stepping on the situation in the nearby sea area and observing the surroundings. How's the situation, Luo Yu? There's no problem. There's no hidden aura nearby. A young man in black nodded with a smile. Luo Yu, one of the real gods rescued by Lin Shun in the Sea Moon Island, his realm was at the beginning of the 5th layer. He was once born in an ancient family in the Divine Continent and was one of the top geniuses. Later on, his whole family was exterminated and he was sold to the 1st layer of the Realm Sea. In the end, he chose to follow Lin Shun. The reason why Lin Shun brought him along was that he had mastered a special law of origin. The law of origin could sense the origin of a large amount of energy in heaven and earth. Many secret methods couldn't be hidden under the law of origin. Zhao Anren put away a divine mirror and said seriously, "My divine mirror of Tao didn't find any living creatures nearby. At most, there are a few scattered dragons." Whoosh! There was a sound of wind breaking, and Yi Qing Wu suddenly appeared. Her eyes were shining with a charming smile. "Lin Shun, I found a big guy." Seeing her like this, the corner of Lin Chen's mouth twitched. Yi Qing Wu said excitedly, "There are 3 secret islands in the sea area ahead, and there are a large number of real gods on them. Also, I heard that the person in charge is the successor of Hao Futian." Yi Qing Wu's words stirred up 1,000 waves, and Lin Chen's expression instantly became particularly solemn. The successor of Hao Futian? He didn't expect to get such important news as soon as he entered the 3rd layer of the Realm Sea. Zhao Anren said happily, "We found our compatriots." Lin Chen's eyes were deep, and he said, "Let's go and take a look." In the west of the third layer of the realm sea, under the foggy sea area, 3 islands were spread out in different positions in a triangle. Lin Shun and the other 3 sneaked into one of the islands together. With Yi Qingwu's support, the 4 of them disguised as an old man and a middle-aged man. Even their voices and temperaments changed to be very similar. What was different from the third layer of the realm sea was that this place was thriving, and there was a prosperous atmosphere everywhere. There wasn't the cold and austere atmosphere of the realm sea. Many real gods were especially busy. Some had just returned from the demon's den in the distance, and their bodies reeked of blood, but they were unusually excited to hand over their spoils of war to the people of the palace on the island. Some islands built towering divine pagodas, and hundreds of real gods entered the pagodas, transferring their own divine power to the divine pagodas. Lin Shun had seen this kind of divine pagodas in the Shangwan Manor before. Transferring divine power into the pagodas, condensing the divine power and transferring it to a certain place, and then transferring it to a certain target to be absorbed. It was equivalent to gathering everyone's cultivation and transferring it to a designated target. In some islands, there were indestructible mountain ranges, and the real gods needed to personally break open the solid mineral veins and dig out the divine jades in the mineral veins. The most dangerous was the third island, and they needed to enter the demon's den on the other side of the island to fight with the demon race. The demon god cores obtained from the battle would be handed over to the palace in exchange for rewards. Lin Shun and the others hid here for several days, and they even found signs of the Azura clan's activities. However, the strange thing was that the people here seemed to be used to this. They were even overflowing with enthusiasm, and everyone was united. Even when they were working hard, they were brimming with smiles. The person who led this area was called Xiao Changqing, and he recruited more human gods. He even had the title of Fu Tian Emperor's successor. In the pavilion, a team of more than 10 people mining the mineral veins was resting. 2 middle-aged men came over and chatted with 2 women. "Ladies, how's your harvest today?" These 2 people were Lin Shun and Zhao Anren in disguise. The 2 women smiled innocently. "Not bad. We've dug out the 65th mineral vein, and we can hand over 10,000 divine jades to the higher-ups." Lin Shun said calmly, "But I heard that those who enter the demon's den for a long time will have their lifespan reduced by half if they don't get enough divine jades to nourish their divine bodies. I also heard that the demon god cores obtained from the demon's den are clearly sold to the Azura clan for more than 1,000 divine jades, but only 10 divine jades are given to the hunters. Isn't this too little?" The 2 women looked at Lin Shun with surprise. One of them smiled and said, "Fellow countrymen, it seems that you're new here." Lin Shun nodded. "I just came a few days ago." A long-haired woman smiled and said, "Lord Changqing said that this is a transitional matter at the current stage. Resources are limited, and we have to gather cultivation resources and let some people become stronger first. Then we can expand the territory. After we gain a firm foothold, we can lead everyone to become stronger together. Yes, Lord Changqing also said that we have to gather resources to nurture 48th stage God Realm experts first. Only then will we have the strength to gain a firm foothold in the Third Realm Sea." Speaking of this, the true gods beside them also smiled and said, "Yes, Lord Changqing is much better than those young geniuses with divine arts and great achievements. He's that great Fu Tian Emperor's successor. His great achievements will last for thousands of years. We all firmly believe that he will definitely lead us to a bright future." Lin Shun smiled and said, "I see, I'm courting death." Suddenly, a strong wind blew, and brilliant divine light descended from the mountain range. A team stepped on the air and landed in a pavilion in the mountain range. The white-clothed man in the lead was handsome and elegant. There was a gentle and refined temperament between his brows, and he was approachable. He looked like he was about 30 years old. "Lord Changqing." Everyone in the pavilion immediately cheered. Lin Shun looked at this man who was called Hao Futian's successor. His temperament was outstanding and could be said to be superb. As soon as he appeared, he mingled with everyone and had lunch together. He even personally bandaged the wounds of those who were injured after going deep into the divine jade mine, making everyone feel flattered and very loved. After lunch, Xiao Changqing gathered everyone in the divine jade mine. He said with a solemn expression, "Everyone, we're weak now, so we can't make it public. We have to keep a low profile and bide our time. Right now, there's still 15 8th level divine realm experts left from the goal. In less than 200 years, we can complete the goal. At that time, we can charge out of the nearby sea region and expand more territory. Everyone's losses can be doubled, but everyone must pay attention to one thing. Don't tire your body out. You should complete the mission effectively in batches or in groups. Everyone has to work together. No one can fall behind and walk out of this hopeless situation." The thousands of true gods present immediately welcomed thunderous applause. Zhao Anren said in pleasant surprise, "That's great. We just entered the realm sea and already met such a compatriot." Lin Shun smiled slightly and didn't say anything, only quietly watching Xiao Changqing, who was standing on the high platform. At night, Xiao Changqing was cultivating cross-legged in the secret chamber when he suddenly received a sound transmission. He opened his eyes and said in surprise, "Oh, the Chamber of Commerce's president, Lin?" His figure flashed, entering the temple. Inside the temple, for figures had been waiting for a long time. Xiao Changqing was neither servile nor overbearing, cupping his fists and saying, "Xiao Changqing greets everyone." The youth Lin cupped his fists and said with a smile, "Fu Tian Di successor, I have long heard of your name. Meeting you today, you live up to your reputation." With a flick of his finger, a storage ring shot towards Xiao Changqing. Director Chun said with a smile, "I hope you will accept this." Xiao Changqing took the storage ring, and a hint of helplessness appeared on his handsome face. He said, "Then I am indebted to everyone." The five of them sat down. Xiao Changqing said, "Director Chun, why are you looking for me at night?" Lin said with a smile, "It's just that there is one thing I don't understand. Since you are Fu Tiandi's successor, why didn't you impart the cultivation technique to everyone on the island? It is said that Hao Fuqian's cultivation technique has no cultivation threshold." Xiao Changqing said in surprise, "Director Chun is very knowledgeable. You even know this." He changed the topic. "Could it be that Director Chun suspects that I am not Fu Tiandi's successor?" For this, he opened his palm, and a vast and deep crimson divine power appeared on his palm. It was the cultivation of the 7th level of the divine realm, and far beyond the ordinary 7th level of the divine realm. Lin's eyes narrowed slightly. This was the real deal, the Tai Fuqian technique, and it was cultivated to the complete 5th volume level. Xiao Changqing said very seriously, "As for why I did not impart it to my subordinates, it is because I feel that I have not completely comprehended this cultivation technique. If I rashly impart it, I am afraid that it will bring trouble to everyone. Indeed, we are the same race." Zhao Anren and Luo Yu removed their disguises and recovered their original appearances, saying happily, "Having just set foot in the 3rd realm sea, to be able to find like-minded allies who were familiar with this place, it was simply a divine fate that descended from the heavens." Xiao Changqing looked at everyone in surprise. The moment Yiqing Wu removed her disguise, she looked at Lin Shun. "How is it?" Lin Shun removed his disguise and recovered his true appearance. Xiao Changqing said in surprise, "You are?" Lin Shun nodded and said, "Lin Shun." Xiao Changqing was stunned, and his expression was excited. He cupped his hands and said, "Brother Lin Shun, I have long heard of you." Suddenly, the laws roared, and the wind and clouds changed. Host activated God Guide, Shard of Divinity. Lin Shun, who was in the temple, instantly exploded with monstrous killing intent, and a palm shot out. A divine power enchantment, as dark as the abyss, suddenly spread out and enveloped Xiao Changqing. Extreme wind God bracers activated. All attributes of the host are increased by 50 times, 100 times. The next moment, The fist flickering with divine wind was like a meteor aurora, mixed with the fire laws that could burn the world, and suddenly blasted toward the opposite side at lightning speed. Boom! Bang! This punch, the wind from the fist swept across all directions, overturned the roof of the temple, and the wind whistled like a fierce song, alarming everyone in the 3 islands. The wind from the fist rolled and whistled, but the fist stopped in front of Xiao Changqing. His 5 fingers clenched the fist wearing the wind god bracers, and he single-handedly received Lin Shen's punch. Xiao Changqing said in shock, "Brother Lin Shen, why did you attack me? It happened so suddenly. Zhao Anren and Luo, you were instantly pulled aside by the little demon." Zhao Anren was even more dumbfounded, and he said in shock, "Lin Shen, why did you attack him?" Before he finished speaking, Zhao Anren stopped abruptly. It was as if the temple had fallen into absolute zero. Lin Shen's terrifying killing intent was like a sea of knives and swords, enveloping the entire temple. Zhao Anren had never seen Lin Shen with such a terrifying killing intent. She recalled the words that Yi Qingwu had said. Did he let go of the geniuses of the 5 continents because he had become gentler? No, it was the opposite. He knew better than any other time who his enemy was. Lin Shen's back was facing everyone, and his expression was so cold that it was frightening. He suddenly shouted, "Remember, I will only teach you once the real way to distinguish the enemy. Don't listen to what the other party says. Watch what the other party does first." Chapter 2020. Zhao Anren was stunned. She looked at Yi Qingwu. "You already knew." Yi Qingwu whistled. "Who asked me to be a troublemaker?" "Sister Anren, you're still too inexperienced after staying in the God Nation for a long time. The other party is just a backup and wants to be a backup. Unfortunately, we have Lin Shen here." Bang! Flames soared into the sky and shattered the temple. Lin Shen stepped on the law of fire, wearing the wings of wind. He raised his leg and used flame flash to attack the other party. Xiao Changqing spun his palms in the air and eliminated Lin Shen's law of fire. He hurriedly said, "Brother Lin Shen, is there any misunderstanding between us?" Buzz! Ripples appeared on the divine soul. A brilliant and domineering divine soul phantom rose above Lin Shen's head and suddenly burst out with a dragon roar. Bang! 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 There was a big explosion in the sky. The power of the divine soul was not inferior to the law, not to mention Lin Shen's divine soul that was 10 times stronger. Lin Shen was as fast as light. He swept his leg down like a guillotine. He didn't give Xiao Changqing a chance to explain it all. He attacked crazily. Lin Shen's killing intent was like a violent sea of swords that wanted to burst out in an instant. Sealing Azura heaven palm. Green light condensed in Xiao Changqing's palm. 2 completely different power of law intersected. He faced the sky and hit Lin Shen. Boom! The sky changed color and the space shook. The 2 retreated. This time, they were evenly matched. Swoosh! 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 Streaks of divine light came from the sky. 25 8th level God realm experts descended. The vast power of the law reverberated in the sky. This was the main force that Xiao Changqing focused on cultivating. This force was definitely a powerful force in the first 3 realm seas. In an instant, Lin Shen was surrounded. What happened? It's the direction of the temple. They're fighting. Who dares to behave atrociously in our territory? One by one, the furious true gods rushed out of the 3 islands. When Xiao Changqing saw that everyone had surrounded Lin Shen, he raised his hand. He cupped his fists and said sincerely, "Brother Lin Shen, although I don't know what grudges and misunderstandings there are between us, we still haven't talked about it properly, right? There's some things enough." Lin Shen interrupted him with a cold look in his eyes. Using the name of Emperor Fu Tian to do the dirty work of the 3 divine races. If the old man in the underworld knows about this, the first person he'll kill will be you. Qingwu, Vanguard team, the little demon empress is ready. When Yi Qingwu gave the order, the surface of realm sea rumbled, two giant black ships rushed out from the dusky clouds. Shuttle of flying Apsara. 10,000 true gods. Xiao Changqing was startled. His eyes narrowed and became even more serious. Most of these people had already cultivated an incomplete version of the Tai Futian mantra. Enemy attack. Protect Lord Changqing. We will face the enemy together. Figures jumped down from the shuttle of flying Apsara. Their auras were like rainbows, and their divine power was boundless. They rushed into the three islands. Everyone, this is our first battle since forming a team. Let's fight with our momentum. When everyone landed on the island, their fighting spirit was high. Lin Chen's doppelgangers transmitted to everyone at the same time. Everyone. Our goal this time is to delay everyone on the island while preserving our lives. Enrin, Luo Yu, help everyone. Don't harm the lives of the people on the island. Lin Chen's cold shout woke the two of them up. Zhao Enrin looked deeply at Lin Chen, then turned and entered the battle. The four teams immediately started fighting from the island. Their only goal was to stop them from affecting Lin Chen's battle. In the void, the four doppelgangers stood beside Lin Chen. Yi Qingwu flew over. When she took a step forward, she released 9-colored divine power. The long silk danced like a goddess from the 9 heavens, dancing with colorful divine radiance. Her divine power filled the sky, and the 25 level 8 divine realm experts felt an indescribable pressure. This woman actually made so many of them at the 8th level of the divine realm feel threatened. Their instincts told them that if they didn't treat her seriously, they might lose their lives here. Leave these 25 guys to me. Don't worry and fight with him. Yi Qingwu waved her slender hand, and the 5-colored long silk instantly shot out. Airwaves rolled out, and the colorful long silk had a sharpness that could tear through divine iron. The 25 level 8 divine realm experts circulated their divine power, and when they mobilized their precepts, they activated their cultivation techniques and fought head-on. Rumble. Bang. 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 The 5-color divine light shuttled among the deities and fought with the precepts and divine power. However, Yi Qingwu was at ease and easily trapped the 25 of them. She was almost surrounding them and attacking them. Her combat power was almost on par with level 9 divine realm experts. On the other side, the two of them faced each other. Xiao Changqing's seemingly calm eyes had a slight change in his expression. Hee, I didn't expect you to be serious. Xiao Changqing finally revealed his true face. His face was no longer filled with approachable gentleness, but was filled with coldness and arrogance. Lin Chen sneered and said, "Stop pretending. Don't you like acting? After acting for so long, you fooled everyone on my side. Do you want me to give you an award?" Xiao Changqing turned his neck and said indifferently, "It took me so much effort to build up the people's hearts. Forget it. I'll kill you and detain your people. It'll be considered as redeeming." Boom, boom, boom. Divine light rushed to the sky, and the precepts were in chaos. Beams of divine light mixed with majestic divine power shot up from the ground of the 3 islands or flew out from the divine towers like flowers falling from the sky. Then, 30 figures landed beside Xiao Changqing. Lord Xiao Changqing actually asked us to come out of seclusion. Looks like things are very tricky. The 30 true gods who had just appeared filled the sky with divine power, filling every corner of the 3 islands. What's that 8th stage divine realm? There are actually 55 8th stage divine realm experts beside Lord Changqing. But didn't we agree to gather resources to nurture 48 stage divine realm experts first? Then we can expand the territory. We've already exceeded that. Why didn't Lord Changqing tell us? On the 3 islands, the true gods who were fighting with all their might were stunned, and the momentum of the battle decreased by half. The situation was developing in a direction that they didn't expect at all. Stepping on clouds and riding on heavenly light, the 4 illusionary clones flew toward the 38th stage divine realm experts. With the strength of the illusionary clones, Other than being unable to use the set effect, they could perfectly possess the combat power of the host. Lin Shen's Tai Heaven Sky Concealing art made his tenfold divine power and tenfold precepts so powerful that the fire precepts at the 8th stage divine realm could match the divine body integration Dao. However, it was different from the battle between the geniuses of the 5 continents. Unlike the gap between the 6th and 7th stage, the gap between the 8th and 7th stage divine realm experts was a qualitative leap. Not to mention, these 38th-stage divine realm experts were in a state where they were completely working together. They were like an iron wall that couldn't be broken through easily. The moment the two sides clashed, the sky above the 3 islands was instantly filled with endless flames of war. The heavenly might of precepts shook the sky, and the clouds split open. Only Lin Shun and Xiao Changqing were left. Xiao Changqing suddenly said, "Lin Shun, are you interested in joining me? With your potential, if you join hands with me, you'll definitely achieve great things." I used to respect Fu Tiandi, admired his truth, and subdued his magnanimity. But now I've already seen through it. Why should I care about those ignorant mortals? Xiao Changqing's eyes flashed with a fierce light. They're looking forward to Fu Tiandi because the god race is coming again. When they have a bit of glory, they'll enjoy it and forget about the truth. History is just a reincarnation cycle. Why don't those ignorant mortals follow me to achieve hegemony and see a higher world? Divine wings flapped furiously and monstrous winds raged. Lin Shen's expression was calm. "You're wrong. It's the ignorant mortals you speak of. He never gave up on us. That's why I have to remember his teachings at all times." Lin Shen's Tai Heaven Sky Concealing art suddenly circulated, and the brilliant precepts of precepts in the sky turned into a sea of fire. The two of them were ready to fight, and their battle intent soared to the heavens. The two divine powers that belonged to the Tai Heaven Sky Concealing art clashed head-on. History belongs to the people of the human race. Chapter 2021. Xiao Changqing put his palms together, and his divine body emitted 1,000-foot golden light, illuminating an 8-armed Buddha. Half of his face was Buddha, and the other half was devil. Fiery heaven palm. With a palm strike, the devil and Buddha merged, and destruction and creation were mutually reinforcing. The laws of yin and yang were like a vortex that opened the sky. The power that swept through the sky shocked many experts at the 8th stage of the divine realm. With his cultivation at the 7th stage of the divine realm, he could unleash such a powerful attack, which was equivalent to the 9th stage of the divine realm. 2 stages in one go. Even someone as strong as Little Fairy was surprised, as expected of someone who has completely mastered the Tai Sky technique. The terrifying gap between the 8th stage and the 9th stage of the divine realm was easily crossed by him. From a moment Lin Shun attacked him with that punch, Xiao Changqing knew that this silver-robed youth in front of him was definitely not to be underestimated. He used a real killing move right from the start. Host is wearing the Extreme Wind God 5-piece set. All attributes increased by 150 times, 180 times, 230 times. Lin Shun used the Extreme Wind God 5-piece set for the first time. The gift of the divine wind swept up a torrential gale. The pitch-black divine power in his left hand was like a bottomless abyss, suppressing eternity. The vast snow-white divine power in his right hand was overwhelming, and the divine elephant roared. Lin Shun pushed with both hands. Buzz! The pitch-black divine power instantly spread out, and the God-summoning barrier sealed the 9 heavens and 10 lands. This time, the God-summoning barrier was twice as strong as before. The moment the God-summoning barrier froze the devil Buddha, boom, boom, boom. The sky shook, the clouds cracked, and the snow-white elephant tusks swept up. The towering divine elephant trampled on the ground and charged toward the sky. The divine elephant charged toward the sky. Chi! A divine wind flashed, and Lin Chen's body flashed behind Xiao Changqing like an aurora. Then he cast a flame flash spell on his wind god's greaves and cast Split Shadow. Burning with the great Tao of fire, he attacked Xiao Changqing head-on. He can still be faster? While Xiao Changqing was shocked, Lin Chen attacked from the front and the back. The divine elephant shook the Buddha in front, and the god summoning the devil above. Behind, Lin Chen destroyed the world with a kick. Bang! The demonic Buddha was smashed into pieces, and then countless fragments of laws and divine power were crushed by God's guidance. The moment the demonic Buddha shattered, a figure was repelled. It was Xiao Changqing. Blood seeped out of the corner of his mouth as he quickly retreated. At this moment, his hands were placed in front of his chest. The rapidly revolving yin and yang laws in his palm formed an acupoint that neutralized the wind god Greaves in front of him. Lin Chen turned around in the air, pulled back his leg, and kicked out again. Divine flames surged wildly as he swept his leg out. Even with his perception at the 8th stage of the divine realm, he couldn't even see Lin Chen's movements clearly. It was ridiculously fast. Bang! Lin Chen's second attack was blocked. A divine arm formed by interweaving golden light and black demonic chi blocked Lin Chen's leg armor. The golden radiant demonic Buddha reappeared, and Xiao Changqing laughed sinisterly. I've lured you into my attack range. Boom! The demonic Buddha illusions that filled the sky suddenly appeared. Dozens of 8-armed demonic Buddhas opened their eyes. Demonic chi filled the sky as they chanted like death. They waved their demonic arms and attacked Lin Chen. The demonic Buddhas used finger techniques, fist techniques, palm techniques, and many other techniques to condense the 4 different laws of yin, yang, wind, and thunder to attack Lin Chen. They were all peak orange-gray techniques. There were dozens of techniques, and 2.5 of them were even crimson-grade techniques. Such an attack was simply heaven-defying. Even someone as strong as the Tao integration stage couldn't unleash such a terrifying nomological attack in a short period of time. Lin Chen punched Xiao Changqing with lightning speed. When he pulled away, red divine flames ignited on Lin Chen's leg armor and swept across the sky. Divine flames filled the sky. The divine flames that covered the sky bloomed like a meteor shower. In an instant, they exploded with unprecedented speed. From afar, it looked like a meteor aurora that covered the sky. Bang! 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 Lin Chen's divine flames filled the sky, was shattered. After the attack power was reduced by 40%, the demonic Buddhas attacked Lin Chen again. Boom! The demonic Buddhas used dozens of techniques and the 4 laws of nature to attack Lin Chen. The temple was completely smashed into dust, and the sky above the 3 islands exploded with a dazzling demonic light. Just as Xiao Changqing was thinking of the next move to end the battle, his pupils suddenly shrank. The area where the demonic Buddhas were attacking was enshrouded with an eternal black light. The 5 parts of the god of wind set on Lin Chen disappeared. In their place was a heavy armor that was as black as ink. The aura around him was like a black enchantment. It wasn't a law, but it was even stronger than a law. It was this black light aura that protected Lin Chen. 6,520 God-grade Heaven's Path points have been consumed, activating the immortal divine personality to heal the host's injuries. The host has used the Atlas armor part, Atlas Divine Armor. Set characteristic obtained, absolute defense incomplete. Although Lin Chen was slightly injured, there weren't many law characteristics left. The immortal divine personality could also be healed, and it was all because of this new set of equipment. It could even defend against the attack that was comparable to a mid-stage, 9th stage divine realm expert's attack. Xiao Changqing's eyes were solemn. His Fu Tian technique is extremely monstrous, but because his cultivation is not enough, he can't fully unleash it. Compared to his mental cultivation technique, his strange armor is even more terrifying. The divine wind rose again, and Lin Shen instantly switched to the extreme wind god set. He took a step in the air and attacked Xiao Changqing. Xiao Changqing's divine soul was powerful, and his reaction was extremely fast. He once again displayed the huge demonic Buddha's law illusion, and the demonic Buddha punched toward Lin Shen's direction. Chi! Bang! The two of them fought again. The demonic Buddha continuously attacked, and the divine wind collided. The two of them fought from the sky to the sea, and from the sea to the center of the island. Their battle prowess was as if heaven and earth were collapsing. The two divine powers of the Tai Fu Tian technique were displayed in completely different ways and forms. Lin Shen's recovery ability was extremely strong, but Xiao Changqing's recovery ability was equally terrifying. The Buddhist light that circulated around his body was like an inextinguishable divine light of life, quickly nourishing every injury on his body. Xiao Changqing's Tai space-time cultivated a demonic Buddha. He could become a demon and swallow heaven and earth, and he could become a Buddha and save all living beings. When he activated the demonic Buddha, the power of his laws and the use of cultivation techniques and battle skills would increase by many times, and the number would increase exponentially, erupting with a completely different level of battle prowess. The complete Fu Tian technique would have different effects depending on the person who cultivated it. This was a battle that truly belonged to red-tier mental cultivation techniques. The two of them fought with speed, causing the earth to sink and the wind to surge. Even if the mental cultivation technique was powerful and had 10 times the divine power of laws, Lin Shen's realm was still at the second tier of the divine realm, and his actual battle prowess was only a hair's breadth away from the 9th tier of the divine realm. However, after using the 5-piece set of the extreme wind god, relying on the increase in speed of all attributes, Lin Shen's battle prowess was comparable to the 9th tier of the divine realm. He was on par with Xiao Changqing, and they were evenly matched. The gods watched the battle between the two of them in shock, and their hearts were in turmoil. Was this really a battle between two young people, especially the many teams that followed Lin Shen? Everyone had only heard of Lin Shen's name before, but other than the people from Sea Moon Island, they had never seen his abilities. In this battle, the heaven-defying battle prowess of the second tier of the divine realm shocked everyone, and it also inspired everyone to yearn for the Tai Fu Tian technique. While the two of them were fighting, there were 3 pairs of eyes on the 3 islands watching this battle. The 2 successors of Hao Fu Tian. Only the second tier of the divine realm has some of the spirit of the Fu Tian emperor back then. Chapter 2022. As Lin Shen and Xiao Changqing fought countless rounds, Xiao Changqing saw that he couldn't exhaust Lin Shen in a prolonged battle. He suddenly changed his movement technique, stepping on a 1,000-foot-long golden light and surging demonic aura as he quickly retreated. When he realized that it was difficult for him to completely take down Lin Shen, Xiao Changqing shouted sternly, "After watching for so long, it's time to make a move." At that moment, the sky suddenly split open, and a blood-red rainbow streaked across the sky. Billowing murderous aura fell like a heavenly river and crushed toward Lin Shen. The attack came extremely quickly. Lin Shen was about to take it head-on when a new power emerged in his divine body. This is the power of the Azura divine core. Chi! Boom! The blood-red rainbow tore through the clouds, and when the atmosphere split open, the clouds swept away, but it didn't hit Lin Shen and was perfectly avoided by him. His speed can actually increase by another level. A surprised and hoarse voice echoed in the sky. Then, a majestic body like a demon god stepped out of the clouds. It had 3 heads and 6 arms, with different faces. It had a green face and fangs, and its 3 ferocious faces were like that of a demon god. It looked down at the human gods under its feet with disdain. It said indifferently, "It's very expensive to make me attack, Xiao Changqing." Xiao Changqing said coldly, "Cut the crap. Kill him. and I'll give you half of the 10,000 true gods. An Azura has appeared. The divine core fragment of Azura's nemesis is automatically activated. It is temporarily increasing the host's realm, cultivation, and pure power. Divine wind swirled around him as Lin Chen floated in the air. When he looked directly at Xiao Changqing, he didn't seem surprised. He sneered mockingly. "You've been hiding for so long, Azura." As they talked, a new power flowed in Lin Chen's divine body. The two divine core fragments spun rapidly, overflowing with powerful divine power, and poured into his divine body. His pure strength and cultivation realm began to rush to an even higher realm. The Azura that appeared this time was one of the active Azura kings. He was much stronger than the old Azura king that Lin Chen encountered in the Alchemist Guild's plane. Its oppressive aura was even stronger than that of the strongest of the 9 great heavenly ghosts. At the very least, it was at the late 9th level. Xiao Changqing and the Azura king surrounded Lin Chen. In this kind of situation, even if Lin Chen had the Shura's natural predator godhead fragment, it wouldn't be easy to deal with. When experts worked together, the effect of 1 + 1 was far greater than 2. Not to mention, one was the 3-headed and 6-armed Azura king, and the other was the 8-armed demonic Buddha, Xiao Changqing. In a 1v2 situation, the ultimate wind god won't be able to kill this guy. Since that's the case, I'll just have to go harder. Lin Chen suddenly asked, "Azura king, just you?" The Azura king raised his brows and sneered. "Human, I don't need to bring my subordinates to deal with trash like you." Lin Chen said with a playful smile. "Is that so? Just you alone is too little. I don't have any special skills, but I'm especially good at fighting Azuras, especially Azura kings like you. The stronger you are, the more exciting it is. Xiao Changqing, your reinforcements are really timely. I was just worried that I didn't have a way to kill you." Arrogant. The Azura tribe was worshipped as the god of battle, the strongest tribe in history. Other than Fu Tiandi and his team, the Azura tribe had never been afraid of anyone. This kid actually dared to spout such arrogant words. Beat him until his mouth is crooked. Xiao Changqing's mouth twitched slightly. "You can't even take down one of me, and you think you could defeat me with an even stronger enemy? What kind of logic is this?" Almost at the moment when the Azura king was enraged, a divine elephant appeared out of nowhere. Consume host blood chi to activate the mutated divine elephant godhead. The consumed blood chi was quickly replenished. Borrowing the power of the Azura godhead, Lin Chen summoned a divine elephant that was even stronger than before. Lin Chen took a step forward, and the wings of wind flapped as he charged toward the Azura king together with the divine elephant. A move that only has brute force and no laws of nature. Die! The Azura king raised his 6 arms, and 100 Azura statues descended. A deafening roar that could shatter the universe suddenly erupted. A terrifying storm of murderous aura suddenly swept out, stopping the divine elephant that was charging toward him. However, just as Xiao Changqing was about to make a move, his heart suddenly jolted, and an instinctive sense of danger rushed into his mind. Lin Chen's aura didn't appear in the Azura king's direction. Instead, it approached right above his head. A diversion? Xiao Changqing wanted to retreat, but it was too late. The demon Buddha's divine body pushed 8 palms forward, and the 4 laws of nature burst out majestically like thunderbolts. However, at that moment, he saw an invincible golden god of war smashing down with a divine spear in his hand. Host activates Golden God of War set. Charge, 41%. Increases the maximum power that the host can control at this stage. Lin Chen suddenly swung down with the War God Spear in his hand. The dazzling golden light of the War God drew an aurora, burning with rolling red flames, and shattered the demon Buddha's divine arm. Chi! Bang! 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 The divine spear shattered the demon Buddha, shattered the divine power of the 4 laws of nature, and directly tore Xiao Changqing's shoulder bone, all the way to the divine heart, completely crushing his divine body. The Azura's nemesis divine spark fragment temporarily increased Lin Chen's pure power, and when it was added to the current Golden God of War set, Lin Chen almost instantly used his strongest attack, instantly catching Xiao Chongqing off guard. When the War God Spear tore Xiao Chongqing's flesh and blood, the fire laws of nature were like violent fire dragons descending into the world, burning away all of his vitality and even his Tai space-time. His pure power actually soared to a completely different level. As Xiao Chongqing screamed in horror and panic, his divine body was torn apart by Lin Chen's spear. An unprecedented amount of attribute light balls instantly filled the sky, and two dazzling attribute treasure chests bloomed in the sky. The moment his Tai space-time shattered, a large number of divine spirit fragments flew rapidly toward the horizon like flying flowers and feathers. Lin Chen almost didn't hesitate. He turned around with the spear and violently swung it toward the Azura King. The War God Spear was like an aurora, instantly shooting toward the Azura King, shocking it into defending with all its might. Bang! The moment the Azura King was repelled by the War God Spear, and its defenses were penetrated, Lin Chen clapped his hands in the air, and the God Summoning Barrier was activated again, suppressing the divine spirit fragments that were trying to escape. You want to run after showing off? You're dreaming. The ultimate wings of wind unfolded again, and Lin Chen stepped on the divine wind and flashed into the God Summoning Barrier. Divine flames surrounded the wind god's greaves. Lin Chen raised his leg and used divine flame sky to burn the sky, and the fire laws of nature ignited every divine spirit fragment. No, Lin Chen, you can't kill me, you can't kill me. Many of Xiao Chongqing's divine spirit fragments cried out. We should have understood each other. You and I have both inherited the will of Fu Tiandi. We shouldn't have killed each other. Please forgive me for my mistakes and start over again. This time, I'll let you be my master. Lin Chen's expression was cold. Whether he forgives you or not, that's his problem. I'm only responsible for sending you to see him. Lin Chen's divine soul let out a thunderous roar, shattering all the fragments of his divine soul. Xiao Chongqing's divine spirit fragments roared with unwillingness. When he turned into ashes, the Azura King saw that something was wrong and thought, damn it, why are there so many ruthless people in the human race recently? The Azura King left behind a few harsh words, then left with its injuries. Lin Chen heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. If it wasn't for the appearance of this Azura King, Lin Chen's Azura Godhead's explosive power, and caught Xiao Chongqing off guard, it wouldn't be easy to kill him. Chapter 2023. When Lin Chen didn't use his 3 talents and used the War God set, he could at most severely injure Xiao Chongqing. Xiao Chongqing's combat strength was monstrous. The difference between Stage 7 and Stage 8 was like the difference between 10 and 50. The difference between Stage 8 and Stage 9 was like the difference between 50 and 200. Geniuses with divine arts could at most fight 2 or 3 small realms higher, but he was fighting 2 large realms higher. After Azura King left, the effect of the Azura divinity was removed. Lin Chen immediately joined the battle of the doppelgangers and completely dispersed the group of Stage 8 Divine Realm experts. The 25 Stage 8 Divine Realm experts that were fighting with Yi Qingwu fled at an extremely fast speed. Yi Qingwu didn't stop them and joined Lin Chen's battle circle to encircle and annihilate them. With her and Lin Chen's combat strength, it was impossible for them to kill all 55 Stage 8 Divine Realm experts. They could only choose one of the 2 groups. The battle lasted for a day and a night. In the end, Lin Chen killed 17 Stage 8 Divine Realm experts at the cost of 3 doppelgangers. 8 escaped with serious injuries, 5 self-destructed, and the remaining 25 escaped. With Lin Chen's current cultivation, he would need to consume a large amount of rune energy to create another doppelganger. After all, doppelgangers with laws were on a completely different level from the previous doppelgangers. Stage 8 Divine Realm experts aren't small fries after all. They're still very strong when fighting in a group. Lin Shun ended the battle and couldn't help but sigh as he floated in the air. He had used up more than half of his god power and chi blood. If he could use God Slayer or God Rebel, he might be able to wipe out all the enemies. However, Lin Shun could only use these two trump cards at the most crucial moment. These Stage 8 Divine Realm experts were Xiao Changqing's direct subordinates and couldn't be subdued. Lin Shun could only try his best to eliminate them. Host has obtained a set treasure chest. Open it and obtain Extreme Wind God Set Part, Wind God Armor. Host has obtained a Divine Attribute Special Treasure Chest. Open it and obtain Divine Odd Crystal, No Beginning Sky Lightning. The two attribute treasure chests that Xiao Changqing dropped actually contain Divine Odd Crystals. Host has received 12. 3 million Divine Essence, 20 million Divine Essence. While his clone was cleaning up the battlefield, what surprised Lin Shun was that the attribute points Xiao Changqing had dropped were actually more than all the other 8-stage Divine Realm experts who had died. However, when Lin Shun circulated his mental cultivation method and absorbed the divine jades to replenish his divine power, Tai Ikong trembled slightly. Lin Shun looked down at the collapsed temple and narrowed his eyes. Ouch! While the remaining phantom doppelgangers were refining the attribute light balls for Lin Shun, Zhao Anren flew over. The situation on the 3 islands is temporarily under control. Lin Shun nodded and said, "Keep an eye on the surroundings first. Don't touch them for now. They are different from Xiao Changqing's direct subordinates. They are people who might become our friends. Also, make an inventory of the things on the 3 islands. Remember, they must not be touched. Only make an inventory. Gather everyone together and conceal their auras." Although Zhao Anren didn't understand Lin Chen's intention, he still took action. Then, Lin Chen stepped into the air and went to the bottom of the temple. Yi Qingwu followed curiously. Lin Shun went straight to the bottom of the collapsed temple. Yi Qingwu asked curiously, "What are you doing? Is there something good here?" Lin Chen smiled faintly. "Just watch." There was a hidden underground world under the deity palace. When Lin Shun and Yi Qingwu entered, they concealed their auras and hid on a piece of green rock. Yi Qingwu transmitted her voice excitedly. "Is there a big guy?" "There isn't a big guy, but there is a dead person." In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. The 3 islands fell into a dead silence. There was no aura at all, as if there was no one left. In the underground world, a dilapidated ancient mirror suddenly glowed with divine light. A divine soul phantom enshrouded in divine light slowly emerged and finally turned into a human form, floating in the air. The appearance of that figure was actually Xiao Changqing, but this time he was far from his peak state. He was only left with an incomplete divine soul. Xiao Changqing's expression was vicious, and the killing intent in his eyes was violent. "Lin Chen destroyed my divine body. Sooner or later, when I reconstruct my cultivation, I will personally take revenge. It's not that easy to kill me. A real master often has a backup plan." "Oh? How many backup plans do you have?" Lin Shen's voice sounded, and Xiao Changqing, who was only left with a divine soul, stopped abruptly. Lin Shun and Yi Qingwu stood one in front and one behind, looking at Xiao Changqing with a smile. Xiao Changqing's divine soul trembled violently, and his face was full of horror. "You," Lin Chen smiled like a child. "Hello, friend. Today's set meal. Do you want to eat first or die first?" Boom! The ancient mirror shone with divine light, and Xiao Changqing wanted to escape. Lin Chen slapped him with a backhand and smashed him into nothingness. Xiao Changqing died. Yi Qingwu clicked her tongue in wonder. A centipede dies, but doesn't fall down. It's a bit like the divine blood of a true god in the 3-dimensional universe. After cultivating the 5th volume of the Tai Time and Space to perfection, if you have time and energy to condense a divine soul, you can separate a new divine soul and leave it in the world as a backup plan. Lin Chen shook his head and laughed. If he didn't put his mind on this aspect and focused on cultivation, I'm afraid that if I wanted to kill him today, I might have used all my trump cards. In the end, I still walked the path of fear of death. When a person challenges adversity for his beliefs, he is fearless. When a person pursues the necessities of cultivation, he is diligent and brave. And when a person only cares about luxury and survival, he is weak and passive. If Xiao Changqing didn't choose this path, the Tai heaven concealing technique would definitely shine brighter in his hands. Little Minx clicked her tongue in wonder. You can see through his tricks. Is it over? Lin Chen smiled playfully. Who knows? Another 10 days passed. During this period, the atmosphere in the 3 islands was dead silent. In the underground of the mineral vein in the 3 islands, there was a specially open dark secret room. Creak! The door of the dark secret room slowly opened. Another remnant soul appeared. It was actually Xiao Changqing. Walking out from the bottom of the mineral vein, Xiao Changqing looked resentful and hysterical. A real powerhouse often prepares a third hand. You'll never know how many tricks I've prepared. Xiao Changqing's remnant soul quietly returned to the ground. He just poked his head out. He saw Yi Qingwu, who was wearing light clothes and carrying a 40-meter-long broadsword, looking at him with a smile. Xiao Changqing, Lin Shun on the side. Mr. Xiao, I have received strict training. No matter how funny it is, I won't laugh. Little Minx smiled sweetly. I'll allow you to run 39 meters first. You bang. Xiao Changqing, nothing. It was another warm spring day. At the entrance of the demon's den on the 3rd island, a hexagonal soul stone was flashing with intense god soul light. The soul transformed and separated from the soul stone. It was actually Xiao Changqing. He looked ferocious and growled. If I don't seize a body, my soul won't be able to hold on. Damn Lin Chun. Humph. Those who are truly wise and farsighted would usually be able to predict the 5th level in order to survive until the end. Like a gust of ghostly wind, he quietly blew onto the island. Finally, there was no one this time. Just as he was relieved, suddenly there was a fragrance in the sky. Xiao Changqing looked up and saw that in the atmosphere above, Lin Shun and thousands of true gods were barbecuing while staring at Xiao Changqing below. Yi Qingwu muttered, Damn it, I can't get rid of it. It's so annoying. Xiao Changqing was completely dumbfounded. Damn it, he actually squatted on me 3 times, bang. Xiao Changqing finished. Chapter 2024. After eating the roasted wing, the little demoness licked her fingertips flirtatiously and said with a casual smile, He won't be able to come back to life, right? Lin Shen nodded and said, No, 3 remnant souls is probably his limit, unless he steps into the 8th level of the divine realm. Lin Shun and the rest had already stayed in the 3 islands for a month. During these 30 days, Lin Shun and the rest landed on the 3 islands to develop as a temporary stronghold. The next day, on a peak, rumble. Law-like divine power erupted from Lin Chen's divine body, surging into the sky, shocking everyone until their faces were full of surprise. On the cliff, Lin Shun clicked his tongue in surprise and said, I didn't expect to be able to break through another realm. Breaking through 2 realms consecutively. After Lin Shun killed Xiao Changqing and many 8th level divine realm experts, he broke through from early stage 2nd level to late stage 2nd level. The attribute points obtained from killing 8th level divine realm experts were still much stronger than ordinary 7th level divine realm experts in the end. At 7th level divine realm, divine power merged with laws, transforming into law divine power. At 8th level divine realm, the divine body merged with the Tao, fusing laws with the divine body. Using the power of laws could be said to be done with a wave of the hand. The difference between the two was too great. Even someone as strong as the current Lin Shun had to pay the price of 3 phantom clones to encircle and annihilate dozens of 8th level divine realm experts. He was still unable to wipe them all out. On the first divine island, The true gods who previously followed Xiao Changqing gathered. What's the situation like? Xiao Changqing lied to us. But what's the matter with these guys? They only trapped us and didn't take our lives? Could it be that he wants to sell us all? If that's the case, how can we surrender without a fight? Why don't we kill our way out? While the true gods were restless, a silver-robed person walked into their center. It was Lin Chun. In the face of this culprit, everyone instantly became serious and prepared for battle. Everyone, the moment he opened his mouth, everyone's hearts leaped to their throats. Everyone, we've checked the property situation on the 3 islands. We will distribute it equally according to the number of people. We will also provide you with a map of part of the sea. Everyone, bring your weapons and take what belongs to you. Lin Chen's words caused all the true gods present to drop their jaws. After saying that, he actually ordered his men to pile up the large amount of divine jades that had been counted from the mine in front of everyone. The snow-white divine jade was sparkling and dazzling, emitting dazzling divine light. It was gorgeous and beautiful. Everyone was completely dumbfounded. What kind of game was this? Could it be that he's trying to play a trick, deliberately letting us escape so that he can kill us? That's not right. With his team, he doesn't need to resort to such tricks to kill us. Someone couldn't help but ask, why are you doing this? What is your goal? However, Lin Chun said, there's no reason. Our original purpose was to come here and look for a stronghold. This belongs to you all. I'm returning what belongs to you. Is there a problem? At this moment, thousands of true gods were stunned. His appearance was faintly engraved in their eyes. After distributing all the divine jades, treasures of heaven and earth, divine ores, and rare metals to everyone on the 3 islands, he sent them off. At this point, Lin Chen's team could be considered to have barely gained a foothold in the Third Realm Sea. The stronghold was established, and the cordon was set up. The 3 islands were Cloud Scale, Demon Moon, and Gray Cloud. They stood in a triangle and had a natural defense line. The 3 islands corresponded with each other and were easy to defend but hard to attack. At night, Lin Chun stood on the peak of the mountain. Yi Qingwu looked at his frowning appearance and was stunned for a moment. Then, Yi Qingwu pretended to be sly and asked with a smile, "What are you thinking? Are you going to do something next?" Lin Chun pondered and said, "We don't know how many Xiao Changqing in the realm of gods are using Hao Futian's name to do the dirty deeds of the 3 god clans. There are 3 god clans above and Xiao Changqing below. Internally, there are people who yearn for divine achievements. Externally, there are Azuras of the demon clan. Where's the way out for us young people?" Lin Chun looked at Yi Qingwu and said, "When we left the First Realm Sea, we were being watched, right?" Yi Qingwu was surprised. "You noticed it too?" Lin Chun said in a low voice, "The enemy is on the move. Maybe we don't have much time. In my dictionary, there is no waiting for death, only taking the initiative to attack. Now that the enemy hasn't reacted, I have to go to the Divine Continent and participate in the 5 Continents Divine Conference." Yi Qingwu's snow-white dimples appeared dignified and said seriously, "Are you sure? The 5 Continents Divine Conference is one of the 5 great continents alchemy banquets. Giants and divine kings will gather, and even peak divine kings will attend. You're taking the initiative to send yourself to them." "No, now is a good time. The opportunity is fleeting. If they come back to their senses, they will have a different choice." Lin Chen's eyes seemed to be surging with sharpness. He said in a low voice, "Before they react, I need a signal to the divine world and the entire 4-dimensional universe to express my position and will." Yi Qingwu shook her head. "As expected, I can't see through you. You are really a madman who would purposely go to the most dangerous place." Lin Chen smiled and said, "Moreover, before going to the 5 Continents Divine Conference, I can still make a trip to the Lin family." Yi Qingwu's delicate body trembled and her expression changed. Have you decided to go?" Lin Chen looked at the sky, full of stars outside the realm sea. "I have to go and settle this. The Lin family, the family that once stood tall in the divine world." Lin Chen smiled casually. "Don't care about the past. don't care about the future. Whether I am Lin Shun or not, I am now Lin Shun. There's only one thing I want to do. On the Cloud Scale Island, the mountain range rose and fell like a dragon. Tonight, everyone gathered. Lin Shun and everyone discussed their next move. The forces in the Second Realm Sea are mostly occupied by the human race. If the three god clans want to mobilize and gather, they can only mobilize a large number of forces in the Realm Sea. The Third Realm Sea has various clans fighting for hegemony. The god clans can't easily mobilize other clans. Moreover, the Divine Kings can't tear the space of the Third Realm Sea apart and can't achieve space travel. We'll get some time to rest here. Our move should be minimized to reveal the human forces in the Third Realm Sea. Before we confirm whether they are friends or foes, we can't reveal ourselves. Moreover, we can't just fight and not develop. We have to dare to fight and develop. Hua, hua, hua. Suddenly, a flame lit up in the Cloud Scale Island. The three teams were on alert, but they realized that the newcomers were the true gods from the three islands. Shui Jiaming was stunned. Didn't we send you off? Luo Yu said seriously. Didn't we return the things in the three islands to you? Are you still unhappy? That's not it, everyone. The dozen-level, seven-god realm experts in the lead walked out of the crowd and shouted, "We came back to join you." As soon as he said that, everyone was in an uproar. Zhao Aaron pondered. On the other hand, Shengwan Yun glanced at the calm Lin Shun. You guessed it again. Lin Shun smiled and said, "Everyone's eyes are sharp. The true gods who came back this time were actually more than the ones who left. They even went to the Third Realm Sea and pulled their friends over." A green-robed man with a divine blade on his back walked towards Lin Shun and cupped his fists. "Your Excellency Lin Shun, please allow us to join your team." Lin Shun smiled and said, "Join? Very simple. You just have to do 3 things first." Everyone held their breaths. 3 things? Which 3 things? Could it be that they were difficult? Lin Shun stood up, his figure standing upright in front of everyone's eyes. The first thing, give up your fantasy and prepare for battle. The second thing, give up your fantasy and prepare for battle. The third thing, give up your fantasy and prepare for battle. Chapter 2025. In a faraway place in the Star Continent. Inside the great astrolabe formation where starlight revolved, a rainbow pierced through the sun. A nebula hung in the sky, condensing a terrifying energy. This was one of the Lin family's headquarters that had migrated to the faraway Star Continent. Today was the once-in-a-century God's Blood Test Day. At least 2/3 of the Lin family's geniuses would gather here. Whoever's talent or potential stood out would be heavily nurtured by the main family and be chosen as one of the figures to revive the Lin family. On the stone platform, many experts stood. The laws and divine power were faintly causing the space to ripple. A group of elders was looking at the young generation on the stone platform. A few extremely old elders looked at each other and nodded slightly. The quality and potential of this generation is much higher than the previous generations. Yes, I predict that after another 1,000 years, the Lin family will have a few more young god kings. I also see a few seedlings. What a gathering of talents. However, no matter how good the seedlings are, they can't compare to the light of the bright moon. The more young people here, the better the foundation for his return. That Lord promised us that he would let us return to the God realm. It's still early. Let's not talk about it for now. The elders looked at each other and smiled. They didn't see the decline and negativity of a declining family in their eyes. On the contrary, their fighting spirit was very strong. Lin Mingxiao and Lin Wanxian were also sitting at the side, but they seemed to be absent-minded. Their focus was not on the young generation at all. The Lin family's ancestor had a god emperor. The strength of their god's blood far surpassed that of the 5 continents' families. The growth period of God's blood was divided into several stages. After becoming a god, it would usher in a high-speed growth period. After comprehending the laws, it would usher in a peak period. Thus, today was the final test of the Lin family's genius's potential. However, How far they could go in the future depended on their own luck. Buzz. On the stone platform, a ray of divine light shot into the sky. Lin Fei, bloodline grade, low-grade stage 6, born with a wind elemental law, true body. Lin Aoshue, bloodline grade, high-grade stage 6, born with a lightning elemental law, true body. The geniuses present were in an uproar. A stage 6 bloodline had a 50% chance of becoming a god king in the future. The two young talents of the Lin family stood with their hands behind their backs, in high spirits. Subsequently, another petite and exquisite young girl leaped onto the stone platform. Her skin was whiter than snow, and she wore an azure blue palace dress. Her black brows were like the falling snow of March, and she was beautiful as snow. Her glistening eyes were suffused with a charming young girl's craftiness, and her bearing and figure were absolutely stunning. When she placed her jade-like hand on the stone platform's divine pillar, divine light flourished, and her might actually surpassed that of the previous two. Lin Xueqing, bloodline grade, low level 7, natural sword Dao true form. The geniuses of the Lin family couldn't help but be moved. Lin Xueqing's talent was above everyone else. However, Lin Xueqing didn't think so. She hopped off the stone platform and casually threw a flirtatious glance at the young talents. The geniuses of the Lin clan trembled as if their hearts had been shot by arrows. They shouted her name in unison. A bunch of stupid men. Lin Xueqing looked innocent on the surface, but there was contempt and disdain in the depths of her beautiful eyes. She returned to her seat and swung her snow-white legs, admiring them in her heart. These people are on a completely different level from Brother Xingqian. She was one of the few people in the Lin clan who was lucky enough to have seen the real Lin Xingqian. He was dressed in white, had golden eyes, and with a sword in his hand, he could go up to the 9 heavens and block the sun and moon. He could break all spells in the world. He used the might of a sage king to kill true gods, as if he was a god emperor. How could the heroes of the world be a match for his sword? Marriage was allowed within the Lin clan to maintain the purity of the bloodline and the purity of the god's blood. Lin Xueqing was the most outstanding. Today, everyone's attention was naturally focused on her, but she didn't care at all. I heard that when Brother Xingqian was born, he had the Lin clan's bloodline that was hard to find. He even surpassed level 9 and shattered the Lin clan's bloodline divine pillar. When Brother Xingqian returns to the Lin clan with glory, I will welcome him in my best state and appearance. Just as Lin Xueqing made up her mind, the Great Star Formation suddenly shifted a star. Everyone from the Lin clan immediately looked over, filled with curiosity and doubt. Someone entered the Lin clan? The array was directly activated. It seems like it's someone from the Lin clan. But who would come at such a critical time? A part of the star array was activated, which meant that someone from the Lin clan had entered. But who else would come at such a critical time? The elders and the younger generation were all here. The sea of stars moved, and everyone looked over. Under the star wheel array, the stars were shining brightly. A silver-robed man slowly walked over from the forest, accompanied by a beautiful woman. The silver-robed young man's eyes were deep, and his eyebrows were high. His calm demeanor was like a sheathed sword, and his sharpness was restrained. He stepped into the Lin clan's headquarters with steady steps. Finally, he stepped into the headquarters and looked around at everyone from the Lin clan. Zhuozhou Linshun is here to visit the Lin clan. At this moment, Lin Mingxiao and Lin Wanxian stood up in shock, wild with joy. The elders narrowed their eyes. Level 2 of the divine realm? Is there such a person in the Lin clan? Why didn't I see any signs of him? Hundreds of talents from the Lin clan discussed. Zhuozhou Lin Chun? I've never heard of him. Damn it. Other than being handsome, this man has nothing else. How can he have such a beautiful woman? The woman beside him is too good. Compared to Lin Chun, the little demon empress Yi Qingwu was even more eye-catching. A one-eyed elder slowly stood up and questioned, Lin Chun, are you from the branch family? There is no seat for you on the day of the bloodline test. Leave. At this moment, Lin Wanxian was crying tears of joy. She stood up and said to the elders on the high platform, "Elders, he is Xingqian. He is the only son of my big brother Lin Xiaoyao." Lin Xingqian. The moment she said this, the entire place fell silent. Lin Xingqian? The young talents of the Lin clan went from puzzled to confused, and their expressions gradually became exaggerated. Many elders even thought that they had misheard. Lin Xueqing looked as if she was struck by lightning. Everyone sized up Lin Shan for 10 breaths of time, as if they wanted to see through everything about him. Impossible. The young girl's cold shout broke the silence. It was Lin Xueqing. Lin Xueqing pointed at Lin Chun. "How can my big brother Xingqian be this kind of trash? Even if you want to spout nonsense, you should know your limits." Lin Wanxian glared. "Are you saying that I misjudged my big brother's son?" "Xueqing, don't be too presumptuous." Lin Xueqing shouted as if she had gone crazy. "You didn't just misjudge, your brain is also wrong." Lin Wanxian wiped away her tears, and a trace of coldness appeared in her eyes. He just tested his bloodline to be rank 7, and he already has no respect for his elders. The moment Lin Xueqing spoke, the hundreds of Lin clan geniuses began to discuss and send voice transmissions. "Lin Xingqian? He's our lost cousin Xingqian? What kind of joke is this? Lin Xingqian is known as the #1 genius of the God Realm. How can he be this kind of trash? He looks as weak as a salted fish. How can he be called the #1 of the God Realm? Even a chicken is stronger than me." I didn't think that someone would lie to our Lin clan. Seeing that the situation was getting out of control, the 3 elders on the high platform finally made their stand. "Wanxian, stand down. Our clan's #1 genius, Lin Xingqian, has already secretly contacted the elders several decades ago. He is not this child. This person is not our Lin clan's Lin Xingqian. Yi Qingwu, these old fellows have walked a narrow path." The 3 elders' stand made Lin Wanchuan's face lose all color. They had been waiting for Lin Xingqian's return for many years. Now that Lin Xingqian had finally returned, they actually refused to acknowledge him. Lin Mingxiao's brows furrowed. As expected, these old fellows came into contact with Lin Xingqian earlier than us. Lin Xueqing was furious, and she suddenly stood up. "He is indeed a fake. Let me personally wash away Brother Xingqian's stain." The tense atmosphere had just begun when Lin Chun smiled faintly. His smile was gentle and refined, like a spring breeze. "Everyone, don't be mistaken. Don't think that just because I am Lin Clan, you think that I am here to acknowledge my ancestors. And don't think that just because I came to visit you today, you think that I am family with you. I am only family with the people who scolded me, because I am their father." The scene suddenly became silent. Most of the Lin clan members present looked as if they had eaten **T, and their faces were especially ugly. Yi Qingwu, who was trembling with laughter at the side, was about to cry. "Yi Qingwu, I like your way of talking. Remember to wear your suit." Chapter 2026. Arrogant. Arrogant brat. Who do you think you are? You're already so arrogant at the 2nd level of the Divine Realm. If you were at the 7th level of the Divine Realm, wouldn't you even look down on the Divine King? You're courting death for insulting my Lin family. You have a foul mouth. Even if my Lin family is in decline, you can't insult us. Rumble. The brilliant divine power swept through everything in its path, overturning many tables and chairs. The divine power was like the stars and sand. When the hundreds of Lin family members were furious, the power seemed to be able to tear the sky down. Lin Chen's silver robe fluttered without any wind as he smiled innocently. "So everyone wants to acknowledge me as your father so much. It's quite embarrassing." A bolt of violet lightning that carried the laws of lightning that surged violently into the sky transformed into a wisp of sword light that swept out like a crescent moon, and it slashed down swiftly. It was Lin Xueqing. She was enraged and took advantage of everyone's anger to make the first move. His palm was covered with black lightning as Lin Chen raised his hand and slapped. Break. When the palm touched the lightning, the black lightning hit the purple lightning. It was like the collision of the sea of clouds, instantly surging. Boom! Lightning bloomed, and the lightning was like a dancing silver snake. It rolled and spread, tearing the earth veins, and smoke rolled up. Everyone's expression changed. While everyone was surprised, even Lin Xueqing was stunned for a moment. My law of lightning was actually resolved by him with the same level of mastery of the law of lightning. Although it was a casual attack, with their cultivation, even an ordinary 8th level of the divine realm couldn't take it so easily. Was this guy really at the 2nd level of the divine realm? As the smoke rose, Lin Shun stood tall and proud. His gaze was calm as he observed the entire scene. Black lightning surged around his body, as if a thunder god had descended. Yi Qingwu sighed in amazement. What a monster! It's only been a few days, and he actually managed to control a divine-grade odd crystal like the infinite heavenly thunder and even comprehended the thunder law. Divine-grade odd crystal, infinite heavenly thunder. Lin Shun actually refined the divine-grade odd crystal that he got from killing Xiao Chongqing on the way. This was equivalent to Lin Shun having 2 laws. The energy of the divine-grade odd crystal allowed his realm to break through a new height. Now Lin Shun was no longer at the late stage of the 2nd rank, but at the perfect stage of the 2nd rank. He was only 1 step away from the 3rd level of the divine realm. The power of a divine quality, odd crystal. Divine odd crystals can only be found by chance, but didn't they say that the minimum requirement to refine a divine-grade odd crystal is to be at the 7th level of the divine realm? Without the divine power of laws, how did he withstand the enormous energy of the divine-grade odd crystal? The young talents of the Lin family were shocked. The purple-robed old man on the high platform finally stood up. Enough! You're just a rascal who insulted my Lin clan. Wait a minute. Finally, Lin Mingxiao stood up and stood in front of the elders. Elders, please allow him to test his bloodline. If he is a member of the Lin clan, you have no right to take his life. Lin Mingxiao smiled coldly. Or should we ask Big Brother to come out? When the word Big Brother came out, the expressions of all the elders changed slightly. A trace of curiosity appeared in Lin Chen's eyes. Big Brother? Didn't they say that Lin Mingxiao's big brother was? Yi Qingwu quietly transmitted a message to him. In that generation of the Lin clan, there are twin brothers. One is your father, Lin Xiaoyao, and the other is Lin Qing, your uncle. It is said that Uncle Xiaoyao didn't want to compete for the rankings, and Uncle Lin Qing emphasized fairness. So everyone in the same generation called them Big Brother. Lin Shun was enlightened, and a trace of gratitude appeared in his eyes. Forget it. The purple-robed elder flicked his sleeves and said hoarsely, if he is a member of the Lin clan, it's fine. If he isn't, I'll kill him myself. The purple-robed elder transmitted a message to Lin Xueqing, telling her not to act rashly. The latter glared fiercely at Lin Shun and stood aside, ready to fight at any time. Lin Mingxiao was too lazy to argue with these old things. He looked at Lin Shun with a sincere gaze. Child, come here. Use your divine power and place it on the pillar. That will prove that you are Big Brother's son. Lin Chen nodded. Thank you, second uncle. Lin Shun stepped onto the ancient altar. The young talents of the Lin clan were stunned. Good heavens, was this Lin Chun the same Lin Xingchen from that year? If that was the case, then how terrifying would his bloodline be? Everyone was looking forward to it, and, for a moment, the criticism lessened. Lin Shin placed his palm on the god pillar and used his divine power. An electric numbness flowed into his body from the god pillar, as if it was probing Lin Chen's bloodline. The birthmark on Lin Chen's chest glowed faintly, but the light was very dim, like the light of a star that had died many years ago. The grade, 9 runes on the god pillar flickered with light, and there was a reaction. He was a member of the Lin clan. Everyone held their breath. The god pillar reacted, which meant that he was indeed a member of the Lin clan. Then, What was the grade of his bloodline? Even the elders held their breath, holding their breaths with rapt attention. The moment the god pillar lit up, the first line of light at the bottom of the god pillar only appeared for a moment before it froze there. Even the first grade did not light up. But sorry, I couldn't help it. The number one genius, just like this. He is indeed a member of the Lin clan. But you're telling me that this is our number one genius? Maybe he's a bastard child of some unknown person. He hasn't even reached the first grade of bloodline. Too pitiful. I'm afraid that the second grade of the divine realm is his limit. The Lin clan talents on both sides laughed loudly. What did a first grade bloodline mean? It was the lowest level of the Lin clan, and he did not even have a low first grade bloodline. This was no different from the lowest level servant of the Lin clan. The elders heaved a sigh of relief. As expected, that person was Lin Xingqian. Lin Mingxiao's expression was complicated, as if he had expected something, and he let out a long sigh. He thought that Lin Shun would be even more depressed, but Lin Shen was calm and did not take it seriously at all. Lin Shen calmly retracted his hand and smiled casually. Second uncle, I want to go to father's old home. Lin Mingxiao was stunned, and he smiled happily. I'm relieved that you have such intentions. According to the rules, since Lin Shun was a member of the Lin clan, they could not touch Lin Shen easily. Lin Mingxiao transmitted his voice to Lin Shun. I hope you won't hold a grudge against the Lin clan. Lin Shen smiled. Hold a grudge? Not really. I knew from the start that they did not need Lin Xingqian, but Lin Xingqian's god blood and talent. Whoever has Lin Xingqian's bloodline is Lin Xingqian. Looking at everyone present, Lin Chun smiled calmly. As for who Lin Xingqian is, it doesn't matter at all, right? Lin Wanxian flew over and grabbed Lin Chen's hand. Don't worry, with Ant here, no one in the Lin clan can bully you. Lin Mingxiao laughed. Ha ha ha. A man's ambition is the world. Let's go. I'll bring you to Big Brother's old home. The two of them left with Lin Shun. Lin Xueqing's eyes were cold, and she said disdainfully, a piece of trash without a god blood talent dares to step into the Lin clan without permission. If I have the chance, I'll cripple you immediately. Suddenly, a young genius from the Lin clan exclaimed. What is that? Ka. A golden light appeared on the god pillar. At the same time, cracks appeared on the surface of the god pillar. The god pillar seems to have cracked. The Lin clan geniuses stared at the god pillar in disbelief. Bang! The god pillar suddenly exploded, and shards of divine power shot out in all directions. Everyone was shocked, and they used their divine power to defend themselves. The bloodline god pillar actually exploded. One had to know that when the number one genius Lin Xingqian was born, the Lin clan strengthened the god pillar after he shattered it during the bloodline test. This time, the strengthened god pillar was still blasted apart. Only half of the god pillar was left, and there was only a large golden word, God of War. War. God of War this. This Lin Shun, just what kind of background does he have? The Lin clan geniuses looked in the direction Lin Chun left, and their eyes were filled with fear. Lin Xueqing's face was filled with disbelief. The pupils of the Lin clan elders shrank. That's right, Lin Chen's bloodline was not even a god blood talent, but there was an even more terrifying power hidden in his bloodline, a power that far exceeded the Lin clan's rank 9 bloodline talent. Chapter 2027. Inside the Lin family, white fog lingered, and there were rows upon rows of high peaks. There was a stone tablet with the words Lin Xiaoyao's tomb written on it. There was only a memorial tablet and a broken piece of green jade engraved inside the tablet. Lin Chen stood in front of the tombstone with his eyebrows down. No one knew what he was thinking. Even Lin Chun himself didn't feel that when he approached the tombstone forest of the Lin family, one of the 3 red soul fires behind him was ready to move. The soul fire flickered several times and finally calmed down. Lin Wanxian wiped her tears and sobbed. That year, when the Lin family was besieged, Hong Meng and Xiaoyao took you away. We used the power of the whole family to fight back. but there were too many enemies. When Hong Ming and Xiao Yao escaped to the mortal world, we couldn't find their location. Finally, when Hong Ming was rescued by the Yi family's ancestor, Xiao Yao's Divine Soul Jade tablet was completely broken in less than a day. When the Divine Soul Jade was broken, it meant that Lin Xiao Yao's soul was scattered. Lin Chen's expression was so calm that it was frightening. He slowly said, "Who was the one who besieged the Lin family? And what exactly did that divine fortune teller calculate?" Lin Wanxian and Lin Mingxiao looked at each other. The 9 great families of the 3 great divine clans of the God Realm are close to the strongest 9 forces. We weren't there at the time when the divine fortune teller calculated the results. Only the great elders of the Lin family and Xiao Yao Hongming know. Speaking of this, Yi Qingwu suddenly jumped out. The peerlessly charming Jiao Tong seemed to have recalled something as she excitedly said, "That's right, Lin Shun. I remember that for this 5 continents divine assembly, the Yi family of the God Realm sent out an extremely accomplished divine rank alchemist as the final judge. That alchemist might be your mother. In the Yi family, it is said that her alchemy skills have reached the top 3 of the Yi family. She is a real alchemist. Not to mention the 5 continents, even in the God Realm, there are few people who can compare with her." Lin Chen asked in surprise, "The final judge?" Yi Qingwu said excitedly, "Yes, Annie has been under house arrest in the Yi family for a long time. Even I can't meet her. Only Sister Qinchi can meet her occasionally. If you attend the 5 Continent Sacred Assembly this time and get a high ranking, you will have a chance to meet her." Lin Wanxian seemed to have woken up from a dream and hurriedly said, "I heard that the top 3 in the 5 Continents Divine Assembly can receive pointers from the final judge." Lin Mingxiao muttered seriously, "If that's the case, Xingchen, if you participate in the election and pass, you should be able to find out the truth about the divine level fortune teller's deduction back then." Lin Chen narrowed his eyes. "It seems that there is one more target for the 5 Continents Sacred Assembly." Lin Shun suddenly looked at Yi Qingwu. "If I take action, will the Yi clan be in danger? After all, I don't know when that divine fortune teller will make his move." Yi Qingwu was startled. She naturally understood what Lin Shun meant by action. She pondered for a while and said seriously, "No, the Yi family's reputation and prestige are at the top of the 3 god clans in the God Realm. Even if other god clans want to touch the Yi family, they have to think twice. After all, when the Yi clan was besieged by so many experts from the 3 god clans in the God Realm, the Yi clan still protected your mother. If that was the case, Lin Shun would be able to go all out." Lin Wanxian was curious. "Action? What action?" Lin Shun smiled casually. "A small action of a single person." Lin Mingxiao's eyelids twitched. His intuition told him that things were not so simple. After all, this big nephew was Lin Shun, the one who provoked tens of thousands of gods when he was only a holy king. Lin Wanxian was even more confused. "What small action? Don't hide it from me." Yi Qingwu patted Lin Wanxuan's shoulder. "Annie Wanxian, don't make wild guesses. You will know when the time comes. This person, no matter how ridiculous he is, he will do whatever he wants." Lin Wanxian. An hour later, in the Lin clan's ancestral hall, Lin Chen met with the Lin clan's elders for the first time in private. The first elder in purple said indifferently, "Lin Chen, after a family meeting, we have decided to give you the status of returning to the Lin clan." Lin Wanxian and Lin Mingxiao looked at each other, slightly surprised. This group of old fogies, they were enlightened? It seemed that they valued Lin Chen's potential and saw him as a part of the Lin clan. Following that, another white-haired elder said in a low voice, "However, you can only return to the Lin clan as Lin Shun and not as Lin Xingchen. In terms of status, we will treat you as Xiao Yao's illegitimate son." Lin Chun, "You guys are still the most coquettish." Lin Mingxiao raised his brows, his face full of anger, and suddenly slammed the table. "F***, you old fogies, don't go too far." At this point, almost everyone could see that Lin Shun was the Lin Xingchen who had lost his god's blood. Lin Xingchen, who was once a member of the Lin family, had returned. Yet, she couldn't even use her original status? This kind of naked discrimination and rejection was extremely blatant. Yi Qingwu witnessed this scene and could not help but click her tongue in wonder. I thought that your path was narrow, but I did not expect you to tear it down. The black-robed elder said indifferently. I have already said that the real Lin Xingchen has been in contact with the Lin clan for decades. Lin Xin smiled and said, Elder, I don't know how much water you have, but from your words, I can tell that your brain is as big as the sea. Following that, Lin Xin raised 3 fingers. Firstly, I came back to pay my respects to my father and to see my true family. Secondly, I don't care about the bullshit Lin Xingchen's status. I am not a member of the Lin clan. I will draw a clear line between the Lin clan and me. Other than the family that I acknowledge, the rest of the Lin clan are not worthy of my attention. Even a person made of clay would have some anger, not to mention Lin Shun. He had already given the Lin clan enough, but this group of people was now pushing their luck. Thirdly, call me father. Boom! You? The elders were instantly enraged. At this time, outside the Lin clan's astrolabe array, at the entrance of the mountain range, there were layers of maze. 2 elders appeared like ghosts and stood on the left and right sides of the young man. The young man in the lead was dressed in black and had a saber at his waist. A blood-red saber aura was above his head. The arrogance between his brows made him seem like he was born to be superior, and he was full of contempt and arrogance. Damn it, the Lin clan is now a rotten aristocratic family. How dare they ask me to personally inform them to attend the 5 continents spiritual assembly? He spat, his mouth full of disdain. The 2 old men beside him snickered. Young master, don't worry. It's just a task from the higher-ups. Moreover, according to the rules of the Divine Dominion, the older generation is not allowed to interfere in the battles between the younger generation. Young master is here, and no one can stop you. The 2 elders were hinting at something very obvious. The young man in the black shirt looked at the astrolabe array above his head and pulled out his blood moon-like saber. Let's use him to have some fun. Just as the young man in the black shirt was about to slash at the array, starlight floated in front of the array, and a few words appeared. There are risks in visiting. The young man in the black shirt replied, I insist on visiting. After that, he pulled out his saber and slashed. Chapter 2028. Rumble. Bang. The earth shook and the clouds scattered. A huge explosion came from the entrance of the mountain to the north of the Lin family. What happened? I was so scared that I snapped it halfway. Which big shot dares to barge into the Lin family? Big shot, go take a look. Timid ones, I'll leave first. The Lin family's headquarters was shaken. In the Lin family's ancestral hall, Lin Shun and the elders immediately felt a strong divine power descend upon the Lin family. Lin Shun suddenly turned around and narrowed his eyes. Through the window, he saw a black attribute light pillar moving toward the direction of the explosion. An expert had entered the Lin family. Interesting. Lin Shun stepped on the cloud shadow, his body riding the heavenly light, and disappeared in an instant. The elders in the ancestral hall immediately stood up with serious expressions. They had a bad feeling. Lin family's main hall, bang, bang, bang. The Lin family's geniuses were sent flying like raindrops and fell into the Lin family's main hall. When the Lin family's deacons rushed over, they were furious. How dare you? How dare you hurt the Lin family's people? Where did this big shot with both intelligence and courage come from? Before the Lin family's deacons could get angry, they saw the majestic sword energy in front of them and changed the topic instantly. God, good realms, geniuses, the deacons retreated slightly, trembling with fear. The black-shirt man stepped into the Lin family's residence with his sword, followed by 2 black-shirt elders. He sneered and said, Lin family, is this all? Who's the best fighter here? Come out. Just based on this trashy family, they want this young master to personally inform them? What kind of repulsive, stinky fish and rotten shrimp are they? The Lin family's geniuses were angry, but they didn't dare to say anything. The deacons retreated, their faces ashen. According to the rules of the god realm, they couldn't interfere in the battle between the younger generation. Unless the other party's older generation broke the rules first, the younger generation's matters had to be handled by the younger generation. The weak had to be beaten. This was the rule between the various forces in the god realm. The black-shirted man swept his gaze. No one stands out. What cowards! His sharp gaze, which was as sharp as the flash of a blade, immediately locked onto the two handsome figures. Lin Fei, Lin Aoshue. These two were the top geniuses of the Lin family's bloodline grade in this generation. These two are barely acceptable. The black-robed man raised his saber and slashed out horizontally. Saber light swept out like a fish dragon, shattering the Lin family's headquarters into pieces. Not good. Lin Fei and Lin Aoshue were shocked. The saber's sharpness soared into the sky, sweeping everything before it. It forced the two of them to use all their strength to activate their laws to resist. TSK. Boom, boom, boom. In less than 2 rounds, the two powerful figures of the Lin family were defeated by the saber radiance. They flew backward and fell to the ground, covered in blood. The black-robed man laughed savagely. Ha ha ha, it can't be, it can't be. Is there really no one in the Lin clan who can take a blow from this young master? Many members of the Lin family gritted their teeth, but they didn't dare to attack. Suddenly, the black-robed man's gaze swept across the sky and stared at a beautiful figure in the sky. He smiled evilly and said, "So the strongest person in the Lin family is a woman." Lin Xueqing, who was hesitating in the sky, was targeted. Her beautiful eyes trembled, and she said in a trembling voice, "Don't come over." The genius of the divine realm, the expert who walked out of the realm that she looked up to but couldn't reach, now saw her as an opponent. The black-robed man's feet stepped forward, and like a flash of divine light, he slashed toward the sky with his saber. With a twist of her slender waist, Lin Xueqing flew like a willow leaf. Lightning flashed in her hands, and her expression was slightly hesitant. When the saber radiance blasted toward her, her jade-like hand blasted out a thunderstorm that covered the sky. Purple lightning danced like dragons and snakes. The saber radiance flashed, and the two of them fought together. The Lin family and others released a wisp of divine power to protect the headquarters. "Elder, what should we do?" "Damn it, this is too much." "Don't ask me. This is a matter of the younger generation. It's not a problem to beat him with numbers. If you're not convinced, you can go and beat him up." "Oh my God, my stomach suddenly hurts. Today is not a good day to fight." "Get lost." The Lin family and other deacons stared at the battle intently. In terms of realm, Lin Xueqing and the black-robed genius should be of the same level. Both of them were in the early stage of Tier 8, and their combat power was far superior. Even if she couldn't beat him, it would take him at least a few hundred rounds to take her down, bang. Lin Xueqing was blasted to the ground. Her long dress was stained with blood, and she was beautiful but sad. Everyone was dumbfounded. Why was Lin Xueqing defeated in less than a few rounds? The once powerful Lin family is just like this. Weak, too weak. So weak that you're like a whimpering wild dog. Faced with the other party's mockery, Lin Xueqing was so angry that her delicate body trembled. When blood flowed from the corner of her lips, her beautiful eyes were filled with tears. "Brother Xingqian, when will you return?" When her beautiful eyes were filled with tears, Lin Xueqing was in a daze. Under the divine radiance of the starlight, a silver robe came into view. "Brother Xingqian?" "No, it's the person she hated the most." The silver-robed youth raised his eyebrows, and his eyes were deep as he said indifferently, "Cowering before the battle. Just knowing that the other party is from the divine realm made half of you cower. You're good at bullying the weak. When you meet someone who might be stronger than you, you tuck your tail between your legs." Yi Qingwu flew over and glanced at him with a faint smile. "Are you trying to be a hero and save the damsel in distress?" Lin Chen shook his head regretfully. "No, I'm just thinking that it's a pity that such a beautiful tongue doesn't lick lava. Lin Xueqing, Yi Qingwu, you've been a demon for a long time. The black-robed man descended from the sky and took out an item from his chest. Just as he was about to throw down the invitation letter of the Five-Continent Spiritual Assembly, the saber energy around him suddenly exploded. The black-robed man instantly felt his hair stand on end. Someone was close to him, but he didn't notice. The black-robed man turned around cautiously and found a silver-robed person standing in front of him. I didn't notice him coming close. Is he too strong? No, his cultivation is too weak. I didn't even feel it. While the black-robed man was shocked, the tip of their noses was only 2 fingers apart. Their eyes met, and the power of the laws faintly overflowed. Yi Qingwu leaned against the tree charmingly and whistled frivolously. At this distance, it's basically a fight. Either your head is bruised and bleeding, or your head is broken and bleeding. The black-robed man frowned. You're from the Lin family? Lin Chen laughed mockingly. I'm the one who's going to beat you up. Huh? You? A second-level divine realm trash? Speed is weight. Do you want to feel the godly speed of the King of Speed? The moment the dark green armor appeared, Lin Chen slapped out with his palm containing thunder and fire. The black-robed man's pupils constricted. He barely saw the other party's actions. But he couldn't react or defend at all. Chi! Boom! The divine wind blew wildly, cutting through the universe. The location of the two exploded, and a gust of divine wind flickered with faint thunder and fire, destroying the ground and creating a crack that was 100 feet wide and 1,000 feet deep. When the smoke dissipated, Li Yunmu's eyes lit up. At this moment, the Lin family was completely silent. They looked at the black-robed man with his head in the ground and his feet in the air, twitching all over. Countless Lin family geniuses widened their eyes, their eyelids twitching wildly, and their mouths slightly agape. This fellow had actually smashed a peerless genius of the divine realm into the ground like a statue. The other party didn't even have time to react. Was this really something a second-level divine realm cultivator could do? Yi Qingwu pretended to be serious and commented, "On the surface, he's a second-level divine realm cultivator, but in fact, I usually call him a human monster." Chapter 2029. Smoke and dust scattered, and the ground in front of the Lin family's main hall cracked. The scene was especially magical. A moment ago, the godly realm prodigy was still arrogant and domineering. The next moment, his head was facing the ground, and his feet were facing the sky. Many of the Lin family's prodigies were touched, and many of the Lin family members were shocked. For so many years, every time a random person from the godly realm came, they would be bullied to death. Young prodigies of the same generation, they just couldn't compare to the godly realm. It was the same for the older generation. It was too sullen to watch. Their own juniors were bullied, and they could only watch helplessly. All these years, the Lin family was like a stray dog by the roadside. As long as one came from the godly realm, anyone could kick them. Therefore, even though the Lin family had Lin Xueqing, whose talent and combat strength were not inferior to the godly realm's prodigies, she was still defeated in a few rounds. Because she was used to being bullied. She was bullied to the point that she didn't dare to raise her head. This moment. For the entire Lin family. It was 2F** King Awesome. Lin Xueqing, who was sitting on the ground, curled up her delicate snow-white legs and stared at this scene in a daze. That was the godly realm's prodigy. How many divine arts and great achievements could only reach the peak in their lifetime? How many people in the godly realm dreamed of being the supreme existence? An opponent that even she couldn't win against actually couldn't withstand one move from Lin Chen? The most monstrous thing was that he was actually only at the second level of the godly realm. Host has received a Godhead treasure chest. Open to receive. Azura's Nemesis Godhead Fragment, 3/6. With one blow, the black-robed youth fell down and dozens of attribute light balls dropped. The black energy attribute treasure chest was in Lin Chen's hands. A sharp light flashed in his eyes. This black-robed youth had some unique characteristics that belonged to the Azura tribe. Could it be that some people from the godly realm were related to the Azura tribe? Lin Chen clicked his tongue in wonder. People from the godly realm are really good at fighting. Everyone from the Lin family. Although these words didn't sound human, why did it feel so good? This man was damn handsome. At this moment, Lin Chen was so pleasing to the eyes of the Lin family. Bang! The saber light was like the birth of an evil dragon. The young man in black held the divine saber that looked like a blood moon. The saber twisted the earth vein and leaped into the air. His face was ferocious, and his facial features were distorted. A few of his teeth had been knocked out, and blood was seeping out of the corner of his mouth. There was a clear handprint on his face. Lin Chen said seriously, "This big mouth seal is really suitable for you. Originally, you only had 1/1000th of my handsomeness. Now, you have 1/10,000th of it. Not bad." Just as the two old men behind the black-robed young man were about to move, the saber chi whistled, and a baleful saber intent that resembled 3 heads and 6 arms soared into the sky. Boom! Saber chi engulfed the sky, covering the stars and the moon. Saber Dao laws of nature were like a coiling dragon soaring into the sky, while metal Dao laws of nature were like a ball of eternal radiance. Under the dazzling starlight, it was as if they could cut through all things and were indestructible. An 8-stage divine realm expert from the divine realm with a Dao integration stage divine body. The laws of metal, the laws of slicing, and the laws of saber. Furthermore, he had already stepped into the realm of perfection in the 3 great laws. His aura suddenly rose to mid-stage level 8 and is approaching late-stage level 8. Lin Chen stepped out and smiled. Let me experience the moves of the divine realm. Middle stage level 8 of the divine realm actually dares to fight with me. A perfected level 2 of the divine realm. You're really bold. I don't know who gave you the courage. Everyone in the Lin family. Why couldn't he, Lin Chen, speak a single sentence in a normal human language? The purple-robed elder of the Lin family suddenly shouted coldly, "Retreat." This is a saber move that is infinitely close to a red-grade cultivation technique. He personally made a move. With a flick of his sleeve, a mighty force that was as vast as the Milky Way supported the laws and stuck close to the void of the Lin family's main hall. The black-robed young man roared crazily. "It's useless no matter how fast you are with this saber move." Lin Chen said, "Yes, yes, yes. Accumulate more power. There are more and more tribute lights." The blood moon saber suddenly slashed down violently. Clang! The saber fell like a full moon, and the saber aura turned into dragons. Azure dragons that were the fusion of the laws of slicing and saber intent wandered in the clouds and fell fiercely. At the same time, the overwhelming golden saber aura converged into a square like silk threads, covering all of Lin Chen's escape routes. It was indeed a move with no way out. However, Lin Chen didn't need to dodge at all. Buzz! In a flash, divine wind swept over. When he stepped on the divine wind and spread his divine wings, Lin Chen stepped into the air. He was wearing dark green battle armor and had a pair of wings on his shoulders. He looked like a god descending to the mortal world. Host used the King of Speed, Extreme Wind God 6-piece set. All attributes increase speed 800 times. Lin Chen turned around in the air. Thunder and fire surged on his leg armor, and he kicked out. Flame flash. The wind assisted the lightning, and the fire borrowed the power of the lightning. It was even stronger. Chi! Boom! Thunder and fire roared, and the pitch-black infinite heavenly lightning turned into a galaxy that crossed the sky. It burned with red divine flames and ruthlessly shattered the saber aura dragons that filled the sky. At that moment, other than the elders of the Lin family, no one else could see Lin Chen's actions clearly. They sensed a flash of thunder and fire, and the saber aura dragons in the sky exploded into fragments. What? Everyone was shocked. He had actually mastered 2 laws at the 2nd stage of the divine realm. Moreover, he had destroyed the black-robed young man's peerless saber move in an instant. That was a saber move that was infinitely close to a red-grade saber technique used by a prodigy in the divine realm. It could almost sweep away all those at the 8th stage of the divine realm. Lin Shen struck out with his palm in the air. A strong wind swept over, and lightning flashed. Smack! Bang! The black-robed prodigy was once again sent flying by Lin Shen. He bled from all 7 orifices and fell to the ground on the spot. Lin Shen landed on the ground and stomped on his divine saber, looking at him calmly. The black-robed young man didn't even have the strength to stand up. He said viciously, "Outsider, tell me your name." Lin Shen smiled casually. "My name will resound throughout the divine realm in a short period of time. It's not up to you to question me. If you hadn't brought these 2 old farts here today, you wouldn't have the right to go back alive." Lightning flashed, and smoke rose from the stone platform. For figures appeared. They were the 2 mysterious elders who had accompanied the black-robed young man. The other 2 were Lin Wanxian and Lin Mingxiao. Seeing the other party move, they immediately stood beside Lin Shen. Lin Shen lifted his leg and stomped on the other party's divine saber. Then, Lin Shen lifted his leg and kicked the black-robed young man to where the 2 elders were. The 2 elders in black took a deep look at Lin Shen and threw the invitation to the 5-state spiritual assembly to Lin Mingxiao. The latter sneered and caught it. One of the elders took the black-robed young man, while the other smiled insincerely. "What a young man at the 2nd level of the divine realm. We'll remember you." Lin Shen shrugged. "Don't worry. You'll remember me even if you don't want to." The leading elder in black had a sharp look in his eyes and asked, "You're from the Lin family?" Lin Shen smiled indifferently and said, "No, I'm just passing by today. What happens to the Lin family has nothing to do with me. Beating up people from the divine realm is just my personal hobby." The 2 elders' mouths twitched. What a personal hobby. Arrogant to the extreme. Kid, you're messing with the Hung family's genius. It's not that simple. The 2 elders left with the black-robed young man, leaving behind a threatening warning. In the Lin family's main hall, when they heard Lin Shen's reply, the expressions of the Lin family elders changed slightly. In the end, it turned into a complicated sigh. They had personally pushed such a monstrous genius out of the door. No, it should be said that they had kicked the real Lin Xingqian out of the family. Chapter 2030. So strong. The hundreds of young talents of the Lin family gasped in amazement, their mouths trembling. Both sides were fighting in 2 completely different dimensions. No wonder he did not care when Lin Xueqing attacked earlier, because their abilities were not on the same level at all. With a thought, Lin Shen's divine wind reverberated. The wind god suit was removed, and the divine wind disappeared. Lin Shan tossed a dark blue destiny plant pouch, the corners of his mouth raised, and he said with a playful smile, "Geniuses of the divine realm have good things." He took the supreme grade destiny plant pouch from the battle. As the king of speed, this little bit of hand speed was easy. The elders looked at this scene with complicated expressions. The elders of the Lin family were not fools. When Lin Shun and Lin Xueqing fought, they had seen Lin Shen's abilities. But that strength was far from enough. The Lin family did not need 1 or 2 monstrous geniuses to make a comeback. The Lin family had lost too much in the battle back then. If they admitted that he was Lin Xingqian and returned to the Lin family, they might offend Lin Xingqian. After all, behind Lin Xingqian was a divine fortune teller who had lived for God knows how many years, a supreme existence who understood the cause and effect of the 4-dimensional universe. Moreover, they did not know whether Lin Shan would stop at the divine king level. Even if he was stronger than others, the Lin family did not intend to admit that he was Lin Xingqian, but they still regretted it in the end. Everyone present had clearly witnessed his abilities. In the battle with the geniuses of the divine realm's Hung family, he had achieved an overwhelming victory. If the battle had been close and he had won by a narrow margin, they might not have regretted it so much. But the overwhelming battle was enough to prove that his abilities were still unfathomable. Such a foundation, even in the divine realm, would be a true genius. Seeing that he was about to leave, Lin Xueqing subconsciously got up and wanted to chase after him, but Yi Qingwu blocked her. Yi Qingwu said indifferently, "Stay away from him. He is Lin Shun, not the Lin Xingchen you're chasing after." Lin Xueqing's delicate body stiffened, and her misty eyes regained their dim luster. Host has received 60,000 divine-level cultivation techniques soul essences, 120,000 divine-level rune energy, 59 million divine-level blood essence, 120,000 divine-level spiritual energy, 290,000 divine-level metal energy. Heavenly Tao Attribute Picking System, version 9.0, decomposition function. It can decompose all objects with divinity. Anything without an owner can be decomposed, including law artifacts. The host has dissected the target's Providence plant pouch and dissected all ownerless divine weapons. The host has obtained 110,000 high-level set essences. The moment he took away the attribute light balls, Lin Shen bid farewell to Lin Mingxiao and Lin Wanxian before leaving the Lin family with the little fairy. When Lin Chun left, the geniuses of the Lin family sighed with regret. Why do I feel that he is the real Lin Xingchen? Hang him up and beat him up. Hang him up and beat him up in all directions. Speed suppression, power suppression, realm suppression. You call this a F***king suppression? A second-tier divine realm expert suppressing an 8th-tier divine realm expert? Is there something wrong with your eyes or your brain? My Lin family actually has such a fierce man. Just thinking about it makes my pants wet. Don't get wet. He said that he will draw a clear line with us. Mother ***, this group of stupid elders. They don't even know how to suck up to someone powerful. Why did they push such a fierce man out of the Lin family's door? They can't do such a thing without 100 years of brain damage. They've lived for so many years for nothing. The geniuses of the Lin family secretly communicated with each other and started a trash talk. They all looked at the elders of the Lin family in disdain or looked at Lin Chen's back with pity. However, no one dared to talk to them or stop them. It's okay. When Xingchen returns in the future, our Lin family will still be able to make a comeback. Xingchen has the support of that person behind him. The elders of the Lin family could only comfort themselves like this. When they thought of that fortune teller's methods, they were intimidated. Lin Chun and Yi Qingwu disappeared from everyone's sight. Lin Mingxiao and Lin Wanxian looked at each other. Based on what Miss Qingwu said, it seems like Xingchen is going to stir up something big. Haha, a little guy who can force 10,000 deities to surround him when he's only a sage king. He has the courage to destroy 10,000 deities with a single spear when he became a deity. It's not surprising what he does. It's time to inform Big Brother. I have a feeling that when he leaves this time, there will be an unprecedented storm that will sweep across the 5 continents. Second brother. Lin Wanxian turned to look at Lin Mingxiao. She seemed to recall something and said seriously, "Do you still remember the history of our Lin family's ancestors? Why is our ancestor completely different from the ancient records in the Realm Sea and the domain of the gods?" Lin Mingxiao narrowed his eyes. "Are you talking about the one who tried to assassinate Hao Futian in the domain of the gods, Heavenly Emperor Lin? In the blue sea of the Star Continent, Lin Chun and Yi Qingwu rode on a dragon and sat on the back of the divine dragon. Although Lin Chen's divine dragon only had 12,000 points of desolate power, it had inherited the bloodline of the ancient primordial dragon and could perform space-time diversion in the 5 continents. Its speed was extremely fast and was not inferior to Lin Chen's extreme speed when he used his movement technique. The 5 continents' divine assembly would be held in the divine continent. Lin Chun was participating as an elder of the Alchemist Guild of the Star Continent and was fully qualified to enter the assembly. Host has decomposed 7 ownerless medial-grade divine artifacts. Received 110,000 high-grade set essences. The decomposing function of the new version allowed Lin Shun to maximize the set essence's attributes. He no longer needed to destroy divine artifacts to obtain incomplete attributes. Lin Shun, who was sitting cross-legged, looked internally at the lightning precept in the Tai space. It was like a seed in the lightning sea. Tens of thousands of lightning bolts surged, and pitch-black lightning flashed with electric arcs. My fire precept is still a distance away from the God Attainment realm. Instead of cultivating the fire precept, why don't I cultivate the lightning precept first and push it to the God Attainment realm? With the combination of the two, my combat strength will rise to another level. In the battle with the genius of the Hung family, Lin Shun had used the 6 pieces of the Wind God set for the first time. He was very satisfied. With his current combat strength, with just his divine power cultivation and the precept realm, he would be able to fight most experts at the 8th tier of the divine realm in a one-on-one battle. But above the 9th tier of the divine realm, he would still need to rely on the power of the Godhead and the set. Lin Shun opened his palms, and his divine power turned into 2 balls of pure energy. One was fire, and one was lightning. They were mixed with the divine wilderness energy that was condensed from his powerful divine soul. This was the power of divine wilderness. It was a special energy that could only be cultivated by the 8 desolation and 6 compatible seal that he cultivated. It was specially used for refining medicine. Only when all 8 types of power of divine wilderness were complete would Lin Shun be able to maximize the effect of this alchemy seal. A divine-grade odd crystal that can only be found by chance raised me from the late stage of the 2nd tier to the perfect stage of the 2nd tier. It seems that breaking through to the 3rd tier of the divine realm is not easy. With a flip of his palm, 3 divine soul seal scrolls appeared. The 5 states divine assembly was a tough one. Lin Shun had to seize the time to cultivate his alchemy. Lin Shun sighed. Rice has to be eaten 1 bite at a time. The road has to be walked 1 step at a time. People have to cultivate as hard as I do. System, fuse my cultivation memories. System, it is recommended that the host melt his face first. Chapter 2031. Seeing Lin Shun take out 3 scrolls, Yi Qingwu came over and asked curiously, "Pill recipes?" Lin Shun said with a smile, "The 5 states divine convention is a grand banquet for the alchemists of the 5 continents, so I have to prepare some pill recipes." The little minx took one of the scrolls and used her divine sense to read it. Her beautiful face was filled with disdain as she read through it. She threw it away. "Why are you learning these low-level things? Mid-level pill recipes, is that all you're capable of? You should at least learn a high-level, divine-level pill recipe, right?" Lin Chen's mouth twitched. "Madam, do you think high-level, divine-level pill recipes are everywhere? Where am I supposed to find them in such a hurry?" The little minx waved her hand, and 4 spatial jade scrolls appeared. Each jade scroll contained an enormous amount of divine sense energy, and Lin Chen couldn't help but open his mouth slightly. The little demoness puffed out her chest proudly and displayed her peerless charm to the fullest. She said proudly, "Why don't you think about where this grand aunt has been while you were away from the God realm?" Lin Chun. Holy crap. The 4 scrolls were passed to Lin Shun, and Lin Shun could clearly sense that the contents sealed in the scrolls were far beyond the mid-level divine-level pill recipes. The path of alchemy was more terrifying the higher one went. Refining a high-level divine-level pill was as difficult as creating a mid-level divine-level being. Lin Shun couldn't help but click his tongue. "Are you sure I can learn such a terrifying amount of information in a few days?" The little minx shrugged. "It's not like you haven't been a human for a day or 2. Learn as much as you can." Shaking his head and laughing, Lin Shun frowned as he thought of something after accepting the 4 scrolls. Lin Shun suddenly said, "By the way, little minx, what conditions and strength do I need to have to overturn the reincarnation cycle of life in the 3-dimensional universe?" Lin Chun was now an existence that could control the laws of nature, and almost no one in the three-dimensional universe could stop him. Then, was it possible to save Yao? Yi Qingwu looked at his serious expression and said, "The reincarnation cycle of life is directly related to the heavenly Tao of the three-dimensional universe. If you want to reverse reincarnation, you need to have the same height as the heavenly Tao. In other words, you need to cultivate the laws to the point beyond the laws, which is the heavenly shell manifestation of the laws. The laws that enter this realm are equivalent to the heavenly Tao. Only by reaching this realm can you interfere with the reincarnation of life in the three-dimensional universe. Creation is much harder than destruction, and controlling the laws of the heavenly attainment realm is called this realm. Divine Master." Lin Chun fell into deep thought. Controlling the laws of the heaven attainment realm was equivalent to the Divine Master realm. Didn't that mean that Lin Xingchen was closer to the Divine Master realm than he was? As if seeing through Lin Chen's thoughts, Yi Qingwu smiled. "You don't need to think too much. The Divine Master realm is an existence that can split heaven and earth in the divine realm. To step into this realm, the divine body must be able to withstand several dimensions of Divine King. The laws of the heavenly attainment realm are far from the heavenly attainment realm. It is almost the difference and dimension of the entire Divine King realm. Even Lin Xingchen is not that fast." Then, the minx said playfully, "Then, Mr. Lin, how does it feel to compete with the number one fortune teller and number one genius of the divine realm?" Mr. Lin sighed. The pressure is huge. The road ahead of him was long and arduous. If only my realm was like my looks, it would be great to start at the peak. It would be a lie to say that there was no pressure. If the other side only had the number one talent of the divine realm, then it would be fine. But the other side had the number one fortune teller of the divine realm assisting them. It would not be an exaggeration to say that this was the most abnormal combination in the history of the divine realm. Then, Lin Chun began to choose the pill recipes. The minx suddenly became excited. Her eyes lit up. "How is it? Have you decided which one to choose?" Lin Chun saw that her expression was not right, and said with a strange expression, "I recommend this pill recipe." Yi Qingwu chose a jade green pill recipe. Lin Chun looked at it, and the corner of his mouth twitched. Triple annihilation pill, a high-grade divine pill. Lin Chun could not help but ask, "What is this?" Yi Qingwu was very excited and clenched her small fist. "This is a pill recipe that Sister Qinchi and I created ourselves. The pills outside are all for soft-footed shrimps. This is a pill that real men should take." Lin Chun was stunned. "You created it yourself?" This minx could not be treating him as a lab rat, right? Yi Qingwu smiled and said, "This pill has boundless power. It can be taken below the 6th level of the divine realm. If it is successfully refined, it can break through 3 small realms in one go. From the initial stage to the peak stage, it can be done in one go." Lin Chen's mouth opened slightly. Break through 3 realms in one go. This pill could be so abnormal? Didn't that mean that if Lin Chun took it, he could fly from the peak stage of the 2nd level to the late stage of the 3rd level? Wait, refining it successfully? Lin Chun noticed the key point, and his eyelids twitched. What if the refining fails? Hey, Yi Qingwu blinked. If the refining fails, your cultivation will drop a little bit and drop by 3 small realms. Lin Chun almost cursed. Drop by 3 realms? You call this a little bit? After looking at the pill recipe for a while, Lin Chun said, "What is the probability?" Yi Qingwu said seriously, "The probability is very high, 30%. Lin Chun, isn't 30% playing with your life?" Yi Qingwu grabbed Lin Chun's palm with her soft, jade-like hand and said in a serious tone, "Young man, do you desire power?" "No, I crave power." Then it's settled. 10 days later, East Divine Continent. Clouds gathered in all directions of the Divine Continent. Today was the day of the 5 Continents Divine Conference. Countless ancient giants and first-rate families came. The Alchemist Guild of the Star Continent, the 13 Alchemy Pavilions of the Divine Continent, the Pill God Alliance of the Heaven Continent, and so on. The representatives of the 5 continents' alchemy forces were all here. The young generation of alchemy geniuses, prodigies, and geniuses were all gathered here. The Yi family, the strongest alchemy family in the deity plane, was also the final judge of this event. The top 3 would be qualified to receive guidance from the Yi family's alchemy grandmaster. They might even reach a new realm in alchemy. However, the deity plane seemed to have other plans for this alchemy feast. They had arranged for the feast to be held on Pantheon Island. Pantheon Island was rarely open to the public. It was a place where all the geniuses of the 5 continents had recorded their divine achievements. The 5 continents' divine conference was arranged here. Many forces guessed that the deity plane would make a big move for this 5 continents' divine conference. On Pantheon Island, the forces of the Star Continent stepped onto the island. Today, the forces that could enter Pantheon Island were extraordinary. Even among the ancient giants, they were the cream of the crop. On Pantheon Island, a few geniuses of the Star Continent gathered in a pavilion. The most eye-catching one was wearing a snow-white dress. Qin Shuangjue gently stroked her hair in the wind. Her beautiful eyes sparkled as she looked into the distance. On the east side of Pantheon Island, Wu Changtian led the people of the martial god estate to the Pantheon Island. Shun Lingshuang, whose tall and exquisite figure attracted the attention of countless people, had a bored expression on her face. Wu Changtian felt helpless. She sat on the roof of the pavilion and rested her chin on her hands, staring into the distance. Shun Lingshuang mumbled, "Master, why aren't you here yet?" Qin Shuangyue sighed. "Lin Chun, don't do anything rash. The 5 continents' divine conference had begun." Chapter 2032. Buzz. On the west side of Pantheon Island, ripples appeared in the space as a divine light shot into the sky. A divine steel with the words Divine Art Achievements emitted a faint blue light that illuminated the sky. Many geniuses were envious of it. Inside the blossoming blue divine light, there was a pile of ancient talismans displaying the great achievements of its owner. Divine Continent, Lu Weiyang, Divine Art Achievements. Her achievements include defeating the Zerg army alone and killing the 10 Zerg gods with a cultivation of Stage 6 Divine Realm. Her dress was as white as snow, and she was like a fairy that descended from the sky. She entered Pantheon Island while being the center of attention. This is the 130th genius with a Divine Art Achievement today, right? What a peak lineup. In the past, there were so many of those elusive fellows, but today there are actually so many of them. Tisk, I'll be able to achieve a Divine Art Achievement sooner or later and become one of the best in the divine world. The geniuses from various sects in the 5 continents were envious and jealous of the geniuses who had reached Pantheon Island. Then, another wave of saber light shot into the sky, and the divine steel phenomenon appeared again. Heaven Continent, Su Zhanyue, Divine Art Achievements. His achievements include reaching Stage 4 of the Divine Realm and comprehending the laws of saber. He's a natural saber genius. He's slain more than 1,000 dragons and is the Heaven Continent's Dragon Slayer. A handsome young man in white appeared and slowly stepped onto Pantheon Island. His face was filled with the arrogance of a saber god. The divine steel on Pantheon Island would automatically trigger a phenomenon when it sensed that someone with a great achievement had stepped onto Pantheon Island. However, not all geniuses would deliberately achieve a divine art achievement. Some of the more powerful forces had descendants who were indifferent to fame and wealth and had never participated in such competitions. For example, the Heaven Continent's first Heaven Divine Nation and the martial God Mansion of the Divine Continent. The divine steel on Pantheon Island was connected to the fates of the 5 continents and the divine consciousness of the 5 continents. When some of the younger generation achieved something that defied common sense, it would automatically be engraved into the minds of the true gods and then be concretized on the divine steel. The strange phenomena in the myriad deities' islands continued to appear and did not stop. Some geniuses appeared in groups, or by themselves. On the seventh day, more than 1,000 geniuses with great achievements gathered on the island of all gods. Half of them were geniuses who specialized in alchemy. The scale of the banquet was huge. Everyone from the martial god mansion was silently waiting for the start of the gods' assembly. The martial god mansion had also sent out participating alchemists in order to figure out the details of the gods' assembly. Suddenly, Wu Chantian, who was sitting quietly at the top of the tower, slowly opened his eyes. There seemed to be a flame burning in his eyes as he said in a stern voice, "The people of the god realm are here." Almost as soon as he finished speaking, boundless golden light poured down from the sky, as if a golden path was extending down from the sky. Countless true gods raised their heads and looked at the golden divine path with envious gazes. 10 rays of golden light slowly descended from the divine Tao into the island of gods. Wu Chantian stood up. "Look after Ling Shuang. I'll be back soon." With a single step, Wu Chantian vanished from sight. At the same time, many God King level powerhouses did the same thing. Inside the Pantheon Island of God's divine palace, divine light descended and divine wind blew. More than 20 figures stepped into the divine palace. Every one of them was surrounded by the power of laws and heavenly might. Time and space were faintly distorted, as if they could shatter heaven and earth at any time. An unprecedented pressure was faintly pressing down. It was far beyond the 8th or 9th level of the God realm. They were all God Kings. Those gathered here were all God King level powerhouses from the 5 continents. Meanwhile, the 10 people at the head of the palace were even more terrifying. They sat in the endless divine light throne, enshrouded in eternal divine splendor. Their eyes seemed to be able to see through 10,000 li of mountains and rivers, as well as the 3,000 great Tao. Wu Chantan narrowed his eyes. Looks like the information this time is true. He could sense the exquisite figure shrouded in brilliant divine light. Although he couldn't see her true face, her divine soul pressure was like billions of stars standing in the hall. Clearly, this woman was an alchemy powerhouse from the Yi family of the God realm. However, for some reason, she didn't reveal her face, nor did she reveal her aura. The leading white-robed God King smiled elegantly. God Kings of the 5 continents, this divine assembly of the 5 continents will follow the old rules. Strength will speak. Do you have any objections? The 20 God Kings frowned slightly. Even though this God King had an elegant demeanor and his words were filled with an otherworldly elegance, the arrogance and indifference in the depths of his eyes made the God Kings very uncomfortable. Those from the God realm seemed to be born to be superior. No objections. In the divine assembly, strength will speak. The God Kings expressed their opinions, but Wu Chantian didn't say anything. All right. The white-robed God King looked at a young God King with fiery eyebrows and red hair. The latter nodded slightly and used a wisp of law to send a voice transmission. Then, a young and tender voice reverberated across the Pantheon Island. The divine assembly of the 5 continents gathers the heroes of the 5 continents to display our family's ultimate alchemy skills. The top 10 in this divine assembly will have the right to enter the God realm. The top 3 will have one chance to be the final judge of the Yi family of the God realm. The moment this was said, the crowd erupted. Their forces could enter the God realm. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The rewards were completely different from the previous divine assemblies of the 5 continents. In this divine assembly, if one person won, the entire family would benefit. Moreover, they would have the chance to be taught by the alchemy powerhouse of the Yi family of the God realm. This was truly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If one encountered a bottleneck in alchemy, it was even harder to overcome it than a bottleneck in cultivation. Once one stopped at a certain level and was unable to overcome it, one would regret it for the rest of one's life. A top-notch alchemy powerhouse could benefit from the guidance of an individual alchemist for the rest of one's life. Excellent steeds were common, but Bo Lu was rare. To have the opportunity to be enlightened was the dream of countless young alchemy geniuses. I don't need to say more about the qualifications to participate in the Divine Assembly. There will be 3 alchemy venues. This Divine Assembly of the 5 continents will only be held in 1 round. All alchemy geniuses, please prepare yourselves. Prepare your own herbs, recipes, and furnaces. The rankings will be based on the quality, time, grade, and other comprehensive factors. As soon as he finished speaking, the prodigies immediately jumped down and stepped into the 3 venues on Pantheon Island. The representatives of the 5 continents' sects and families immediately entered the venue. The 3 venues were in the shape of platforms on both sides. Each platform had a unique spatial barrier, allowing the alchemy geniuses to show off their skills. Everyone was vying for supremacy. The Divine Assembly of the 5 continents was the center of attention. Just as the prodigies of the 5 continents were about to enter the venue, the various forces had all arrived. Whoosh! Rumble! A golden ray of light suddenly rose from the sky. The divine monument lit up again. The divine light was dazzling, and the golden afterglow scattered across the sky. Oh, there are other geniuses with remarkable achievements here. Who dares to enter the venue after the god realm, emissary? Don't you know who's in charge? He's not stupid. I'm afraid he's stupid. It doesn't matter if he's stupid. What's important is the taste. He came on time. How arrogant. Normally, such people would be beaten to death the moment they enter the venue. The various forces' representatives were either curious, displeased, or sneering. The golden light dispersed, and the divine talismans appeared. Xingzhou, Lin Chun, achievement of remarkable achievements, breaking through the encirclement of 10,000 gods with the cultivation of a grand sage. The golden light scattered across the 3 venues. Countless powerful cultivators were dumbfounded. The various forces' representatives were also dumbfounded. They almost thought that they had seen wrongly when they saw the record on the divine monument. Fighting 10,000 gods with the cultivation of a grand sage? How could there be such a fierce man in the world? However, in the next moment, the divine light continued to shine, and the golden divine talismans appeared repeatedly. Achievement of remarkable achievements, refining a divine pill in a day. The day of becoming a god, molding the divine soul, forging the divine body, and controlling the laws of fire. Killing 10,000 gods with 1 spear strike alone. The divine talismans appeared one after another. The expressions of the gods changed again and again, and their hearts trembled. They went from shock to horror, and from horror to shock. Each of these achievements was more ridiculous than the last. What kind of person was this, to be able to achieve such a heaven-defying feat? Chapter 2033. Lin Chun. Lin Chun. Why is the god a plague here? Is he not afraid of the divine realm's punishment? I have never seen such an arrogant person in my life. Everyone was shocked when the divine talismans appeared, especially the geniuses of the 5 continents who had experienced the realm sea. When they saw Lin Chen's name, their mouths trembled. After all, he was a ruthless person who dared to challenge all the geniuses of the 5 continents. Inside the divine palace, the 10 god kings from the divine realm were surprised, especially the figure shrouded in the endless divine light. His body trembled slightly. The god kings looked at each other. Lin Chun, is he the guy who ruined the mission of the 5 continents geniuses? Yes, the divine monument's records are not wrong. This person must be Lin Chun from the realm sea more than a year ago. Should we take him down? No. The elegant white-robed god king smiled faintly. It's easy to kill him, but this person is very important to our plan. Since he intends to participate, if we can let him join the divine realm, the effect will be much better than praising other geniuses. Then, the god kings of the divine realm looked at each other. Let him stay for now. If he doesn't listen, kill him. On the island of the gods, under the golden light of the divine monument, two figures slowly walked up the stairs of the central hall. It was Lin Shun and Yi Qinwu. Lin Shun was not surprised by the gazes of countless experts. He walked into the central hall with the qualifications of the Alchemist Guild. Seeing Yi Qinwu also enter, Lin Shun asked curiously, "Are you also participating?" Yi Qinwu lifted her hair and smiled charmingly. "Don't underestimate me. I am your biggest competitor this time." When the two of them entered at the same time, some of the geniuses of the 5 continents retreated like mice seeing a cat. It was like a son meeting his father. What surprised everyone was that the emissary of the divine realm did not say anything. Could it be that they silently approved of this person's actions? Outside the hall, in the Alchemist Guild of the Star Continent camp, the third elder, who had helped Lin Shin in the past, stroked his beard and smiled. How can a true dragon be a fish in a pond? Once it encounters a storm, it will transform into a dragon. Back then, he was still a Saint King. Now, he actually dares to come to the home ground of the 5 continents. He's really not simple. The great elder of the Alchemist Guild, a senior with a youthful appearance, smiled playfully. "Looks like this alchemy competition of ours is going to be interesting. With this kid taking action, our Alchemist Guild's chances of victory are still quite good." The second elder glanced at him. "Are you that confident in him? A year and a half ago, this little guy was at most a divine alchemist. Even if he had the achievement of refining a divine pill in a day, the people who came to refine the medicine this time are all tough characters." Third elder smiled and said, "Look at this lad's calm and composed appearance. One look, and you can tell that he has a card up his sleeve. Looking at his cultivation, he had long since stepped into the divine soul realm. Back then, he was able to refine a divine pill when he was in the primordial soul realm. Now that he has stepped into the divine soul realm, he is definitely not someone ordinary geniuses can compare to." Most importantly, third elder's eyes flashed with a resolute will. He's the student of that legendary figure. I firmly believe that he will give the 5 continents the most perfect answer. The great elder smiled with gratification. Whether he enters the divine realm or not, we are not interested. But the representatives of our Alchemist Guild must take one of the top 3 positions. We haven't had an alchemist at the peak of the Alchemist Guild for a long time. In the second venue, in the direction of the Martial God Mansion, Master, beat them all to the ground. Take back first place. When Shunling Shuang saw that her master had arrived, she stood on the balcony and waved her fists to cheer him on. Her face was flushed with excitement. Master? The representatives of the major forces were all stunned. That was the granddaughter of the Martial God King of the Martial God Mansion. Any random person from the Martial God Mansion would be a legendary master teacher. Lin Shin was actually qualified to be her master. He was really a living monster. In the Divine Nation camp, the Tiani Divine Nation occupied the first place. Today, Zhao Jiuxiao and Prince Tiani had personally come to observe this competition. Similarly, the Divine Nation had also sent representatives to infiltrate the competition. They wanted to know what the Divine Realm would do this time. When Prince Tiani saw Lin Shin enter, he narrowed his eyes and stared at Lin Shin for a moment. Zhao Jiuxiao smiled and said, "How is it? Your father's foresight is not bad, right? Entrust Anren to him. Our Tiani Divine Nation has guarded the territory for that legend for many years. We will definitely get a real answer." Prince Tiani nodded slightly. His evaluation of Lin Shan was unprecedentedly high. Poultry will wear shackles, but wild beasts will not. In the Divine Continent's Divine Wind Tower, Su Mujio and Insulong were also in the team. When the two of them stared at Lin Shan, their expressions were especially interesting. Lin Shin's cultivation was actually only one step away from the 3rd level of the Divine Realm. Su Mujio could not help but exclaim, "What kind of heaven-defying cultivation speed is this?" And Sulong sighed in amazement. As expected of the king of speed and the man with the fastest cultivation speed. The Divine Wind Tower's master, a handsome purple-robed youth, asked curiously, "Oh, you know him?" We have a bit of cooperation. It was all thanks to this brother Lin Shun that we were able to rescue those two children during the Realm C mission last time. Hearing the two of them talking about their acquaintance with Lin Shun, the Divine Wind Tower's master became more and more interested. He looked at Xulong. Then the question is, are you more unrestrained, or is he more unrestrained? And Xulong pondered for a moment with a serious expression. I would like to call him the most unrestrained. In the first venue, Qin Shuangjue happened to be in the same venue as Lin Shun. Including Lin Shun, there were 5 representatives from the Alchemist Association of Star Continent. Qin Shuangjue flew over. Things had changed with the passage of time. When she saw Lin Shun again, she could not help but stare blankly for a moment. After he returned from the Realm C, he no longer had the appearance of a teenager. How did he become a young man? From the time he entered the Realm C, just what exactly happened to his body? Qin Shuangjue sized up Lin Shun seriously for a moment. Lin Shun, you are here to refine pills this time, right? Lin Shun smiled and said, of course, I'm only refining pills, not stirring up trouble. Look at me, such an honest person. Have I ever lied to you? Qin Shuangjue glared at him. She approached him and said in a low voice, no matter what you think, there are still emissaries from the God domain coming today. You must not act recklessly. If something happens again, it will not be the same as last time. Lin Shun said seriously, okay, I will not stir up trouble. You should know the rules of refining pills. Huh? What rules? Qin Shuangjue facepalmed. How could someone who did not even know the rules participate? Just as Qin Shuangjue and Lin Shun were explaining the general rules, Yi Qingwu pulled Lin Shun's sleeve and whispered excitedly. Lin Shun, I sensed Aunt Homing's aura. She is in the shrine of the God Island. I can't be wrong. The final judge this time. The Yi clan sent her. Hearing Yi Qingwu's voice, Lin Shun's heart shook. He turned to look in the direction of the shrine, his gaze deep. Lin Shun whispered, she's not coming with good intentions. Yi Qingwu glanced at him. You're the one who's coming. Seeing Yi Qingwu and Lin Shun pulling and pulling, Qin Shuangjue became impatient and scolded, listen to the rules before flirting. Lin Shun coughed lightly. Young Lady Qin, please continue. Yi Qingwu's eyebrows curved as she looked at Qin Shuangjue with a smile that was not a smile. Oh ho! From the current situation and the rules, Yi Hongming's movements were restricted. She was also under house arrest in the Yi clan. If Lin Shun wanted to talk to her face-to-face, he had to get into the top 3. As long as he could talk to Yi Hongming, Lin Shun would know what the God-level diviner had predicted when he came to the Lin clan that year, causing the Lin clan to decline, and why there was another Lin Xingchen. Chapter 2034. By the time Qin Shuangjue and Lin Shun finished explaining the rules, all the alchemists had already entered the venue. The time limit this time was 3 months. The final ranking would be determined by the quality of the divine pills, the time consumed, the quality, and other factors. Moreover, Lin Shun was using this to test the attitude of the celestial realm. Since he entered the venue, the celestial realm's emissaries had yet to express their stance. In other words, they were still considering their own decisions. This was exactly what Lin Shun wanted. Qin Shuangjue pulled Lin Shun closer to her. The two of them were very close to each other to avoid being eavesdropped. Qin Shuangjue said seriously, how confident are you? The rules of the alchemy this time are not comparable to the rules of the previous selection meeting. The beauty's breath was as warm as jade and seeped into one's heart. Lin Shun smiled playfully. I don't know how confident I am. It depends on the operation. Qin Shuangjue was speechless. This guy was indeed here to cause trouble. He had not revealed his true intentions yet. Qin Shuangjue said helplessly, if you continue to cause trouble here, my Qin family can't help you. After the discussion, everyone went to their respective positions. A total of 600 top alchemy prodigies of the current generation were gathered here. They were all heroes and dark horses from the 5 continents. Each of them was a 1 in a million genius. Some of them were not people with great achievements. but they were even prodigies with great achievements. Boom! With a roar, the alchemy furnace appeared. Yi Qingwu smiled slyly. Go ahead. I'll set the foundation for you. With a light tap of her jade-like finger, dreamy glass-like starlight flowed into the sky. Heavenly treasures full of divinity poured into the alchemy furnace like fish dragons. Seeing her smooth technique, Lin Shen raised his eyebrows slightly. She has changed a lot during this time in the celestial realm. In the sacred boundary, this little fairy did not even know how to refine pills. During this time in the celestial realm, she had grown far beyond most of the divine-level alchemists. The other alchemy prodigies also began to move. Majestic and vast divine-level herbs like stars floated in the sky, enshrouded in colorful divine light. Looking from afar, it was as if a magnificent scene had descended, magnificent and magnificent. Lin Shen smiled. It seems that I can't fall behind. With a push of his palm, 3 divine beast cores floated in the air. Hundreds of divine-grade medicinal herbs emitted strong divinity and flowing light, shining brilliantly. What Lin Shan wanted to refine was the peerless triple annihilation pill that he had been researching for a long time. It was a high-grade divine-level pill. Although he had been researching it for some time, this was the first time he had actually refined it. Compared to a year and a half ago, Lin Shen's mental realm had undergone an earth-shattering change. At that time, he was still in the primordial spirit realm. Now he was already in the divine soul realm. In addition to the strengthening effects of the Tai Heaven Fu mantra and his innate talent, Lin Shen's spirit was more than 10 times stronger than others of the same level. At the very least, Lin Shen possessed the basic requirements to refine a high-grade, divine-grade medicinal pill. Seeing Lin Shen's formation, Qin Shuangjue's heart trembled. She muttered to herself, in a year and a half, could his alchemy skills have improved by leaps and bounds to such an extent? Alchemy was Qin Shuangjue's proudest field. Not only had Lin Shen surpassed her cultivation level in such a short time, could he have surpassed her in alchemy as well? Boom, boom, boom. Rays of dazzling divine light shot into the sky, and medicinal fragrance filled the air. In a short while, prodigies had already begun to refine the core of the divine-grade medicinal herbs. Gasps of surprise could be heard from the seats on both sides of the 3 major venues. What an efficient technique. I'm in awe. Is this the alchemy skills of the big shot? It's also an orange-grade alchemy handprint. How could it evolve into such a miraculous effect in their hands? They've reached the pinnacle of perfection. Everyone is at the godly soul realm, and they're all part of the younger generation. They're all using the same orange-grade alchemy handprint. This is truly a battle of skills, talent, and experience. It's too amazing to be able to see more than 600 alchemy grandmasters refining pills at the same time. It's like witnessing the birth of the future alchemy giants of the 5 continents. First, there was a burst of cheers from the Divine Continents camp. The alchemy handprints used by everyone were all either orange-grade alchemy handprints or orange-grade alchemy handprints. The red-grade alchemy handprints, which were 1 level higher, were also legends in the entire 4th dimension. It was extremely rare to see a real one. If the rarity of red-grade skills was 10, then the rarity of red-grade alchemy handprints was 200. Therefore, in this alchemy competition, it was a competition to see how far the alchemy skills of the various geniuses could extend. The alchemy handprints were actually the smallest gap. The geniuses of our divine continent are still the best. Their speed of refining medicinal herbs has left the geniuses of other continents in the dust. Not everything is better as fast as possible. The geniuses of our heaven continent are obviously more stable. Stable my ass. You guys are just sh*T. You guys have been defeated in the previous competitions. What are you so proud of? Huh. When the forces of the 2 camps were about to break out into a fight, they suddenly realized that the surroundings had quietened down. More and more powerhouses from the sects and forces of the other 3 continents were focusing their attention on the first venue. Their expressions gradually became outrageous, and they were dumbfounded. When the powerhouses of the two continents looked in the direction of the crowd's attention, they instantly quieted down. In the first venue, where alchemy furnaces appeared frequently, there was a particularly conspicuous platform in the middle of the venue. A young man in a silver robe stood with his hands clasped behind his back. His figure was tall and straight, and his eyes were shining brightly with lightning and fire. He continuously activated the heavenly power of the rules and integrated it into his soul strength. The alchemy furnace was formed purely by the power of his soul strength. His soul strength danced like a jade dragon and transformed into two seals, which heavily suppressed the medicinal herbs floating in the air. What kind of joke is this? Could it be that my eyes are playing tricks on me? The corners of the mouths of the powerhouses from the two continents trembled as they stared at the figure in disbelief. He used his soul strength as the furnace, his eyes as the seal, one fire and one lightning. He actually used his eyes to perform alchemy. F*CK. Even if it's outrageous, there should be a way, right? He actually used his eyes to replace the seals of the alchemy handprints. How did he do it? Lin Shun from the Star Continent. What a monster! Many powerhouses turned to look at the Alchemist Guild, and the three elders looked at each other and laughed. Master, charge! Shunling Shuang wanted to rush out of the audience seats as she shouted. The divine guards were so frightened that they hurriedly held her back. Looking at her appearance, it was as if she couldn't wait to go on stage. Lin Shenxin fell into the eyes of the godly kings in the Godly Islands temple. He's a talent that can be molded. Keep him and let him serve the godly realm. Using his eyes to perform alchemy is actually increasing the efficiency. He's a genius. When the envoys from the godly realm praised, only the light enveloped in Shun she could be seen. The beautiful figure whose face couldn't be seen revealed a gratified smile. His alchemy talent is actually not inferior to mine. He has been wandering in the barren three-dimensional universe for so long. With such a powerful state of mind and foundation, he can still become a top-notch alchemist. So, this is my star. The beautiful woman hidden in Shun, she's light lifted her veil. It was the Yi family's Yi Hongming. Her phoenix-like eyes were filled with tears. For a mother who had lost her son, what could make her happier than seeing her son surpass her talent in the field she was most proficient in? I firmly believe that the person that the prophecy refers to will definitely be you. Chapter 2035. Even though he was refining pills right now, Lin Shen's doppelganger was still refining the pill recipe inside the Providence plant pouch. High-grade divine pills were not ordinary items. If he could successfully refine them, they would be extremely tempting even to those at the 9th level of the divine realm. In order to ensure the highest success rate, Lin Shun had to give it his all. Wu Chantian, who was sitting in the martial godmanner's seats, looked at Lin Shun with admiration and admiration. No wonder Ling Shuang admires this kid so much that she doesn't even want to use the Wu family surname. Haha, there are talents in every generation, and each of them will be in the limelight for hundreds of years. Wu Chantian shook his head and laughed. In the first venue, Lin Shen's eyes changed a few times. The herbs that had turned into flowing light and entered the divine soul furnace quickly entered the next refining stage. Cultivate the primordial spirit jade grass, burn meridians, and refine marrow with divine flames, 5 blood dragon marrow, obtain it with lightning and guide it with the divine soul. His left eye was lightning, and his right eye was fire. Divine flames burned, and lightning flashed. The speed of refining medicinal herbs was simply flabbergasting. Lightning and fire intertwined and changed in his eyes. His temperament when refining herbs was extraordinary, as if he was a peerless expert who stood at the peak with his hands behind his back. Dugu Chiobai. He had seen people concocting pills with endless avatars. They had seen people refining pills until their spirit chi was exhausted. They had seen people refining pills with earth-shattering phenomena. However, the only person who could refine pills in such a natural and unrestrained manner was probably only Lin Chun himself. It didn't look like something a human could do. The monarch of Tiani Divine Nation, Zhao Jiuxiao, who was sitting in the back row, clicked his tongue in wonder. First, he burned incense to save my divine nation's prime minister. Then, he stunned everyone with his eyes. This kid's actions are completely out of the ordinary. Lin Chen's smooth, refining speed didn't seem like he was trying to attract attention, as some people said. His refining pills with his eyes was indeed unique, and only he, Lin Chun, was capable of it. He didn't miss a single thing that had nothing to do with humans. The three elders of the Alchemist Association beamed with joy. It looked like their guild was going to produce a shocking divine-level alchemist great grandmaster. Furthermore, with Lin Chen's talent, if he could receive guidance from the legendary alchemist from the Yi family, his future would be the pinnacle of alchemy in Xing continent. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. Pill mist rose in all directions, and medicinal fragrance filled the air. Soon, some of the alchemy prodigies began to extract the essence energy of the divine-level herbs. The energy began to seep out. Layers of multicolored pill cloud vortexes began to rise in the sky, extremely gorgeous. Due to the isolation of the spatial enchantment, the pill cloud's might was vast and mighty, but it was unable to affect other alchemists. Looking from afar, it was as if hundreds of birds were flying in the sky, competing for the limelight. The prodigies of the 5 continents exclaimed in surprise. So beautiful! It smells so good! Good water! So cool! The birth of a divine-level pill wasn't enough to shock them. However, the phenomenon of hundreds of divine pills being refined was like a group of peerless beauties in the world taking off their clothes and dancing in front of them. How could they not love it? The ones who were surprised were the younger generation, while the older generation's antiques were filled with solemnity. In fact, some of the older antiques who had been resting with their eyes closed for a long time also began to open their eyes. Currently, those who had shown signs were basically refining medial-grade divine pills, as they had begun the pill condensation process. As for those few alchemists who didn't show signs of pill clouds, it meant that they were refining something of a higher level. High-grade divine pills. The difference between a medial-grade divine pill and a high-grade divine pill was like the difference between a 6-stage divine realm cultivator and an 8-stage divine realm cultivator. On one side, one only controlled multiple laws, while on the other side, multiple laws were integrated into one's divine body. Every punch and kick carried the power of laws, sweeping through all directions. They were on completely different levels. In other words, those who chose to challenge the refinement of the high-grade divine pill would be the top 10 contenders this time. Looking at the 3 venues, only 17 people didn't show signs of phenomenon. Moreover, these 17 people might not be able to succeed in the end. Therefore, those who refined medial-grade divine pills still had a chance. Suddenly, the Alchemist Association's 3 elders abruptly stood up. Their gazes stared fixedly at Lin Chen's position. Pill clouds have not formed, far from the pill condensation step. The 3 elders exchanged a glance, their eyes filled with shock. Lin Chen, this child, is refining a high-grade divine pill. But Lin Chen's realm was 2nd-stage divine realm. Could it be that he didn't know what this kind of cultivation level, choosing to refine a high-grade divine pill meant? In fact, he really didn't know. The 3rd elder forcefully calmed himself down and said, let's see, maybe he's refining a more special medial-grade divine pill. Another month's time. Bang, bang, bang. Strange phenomena appeared one after another, and dense and gorgeous pill clouds were formed all at once. Buzz! Lin Chen's position also erupted with a beam of divine light that shot into the sky, presenting a tricolored cloud light that lingered in the sky. It's time, gather. Lin Chen's gaze focused, and his divine spirit danced like a divine dragon, gathering all the divine pills. Dozens of divine liquids with pure energy gathered and condensed, and just as they were about to form an embryonic pill, chi, bang, 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 Lin Chen's divine pill's energy suddenly exploded. The gorgeous divine pill's energy spread out like a beautiful firework. It exploded. Everyone stood up, their faces filled with shock. If the pill exploded at this time, the severity of the problem would not be small. Some of the other alchemists had already started to condense embryonic pills. Half of the 5 states divine assembly's time limit had passed. If they wanted to refine pills again, they could only refine low-grade or medial-grade divine pills at most. In the 5 states camp, the Star Continent's elites shook their heads. It's over. Lin Chen pooped his pants. Boom! Divine flames protected his body, and lightning swept across the remaining energy. Lin Chen was stunned and stood rooted to the ground. It exploded? Even Lin Chen didn't expect that the divine pill's energy would suddenly fluctuate so violently just now. Is there a problem with the pill formula? No, my phantom clone has checked every step many times. Even if it's not 100%, there's at least an 80% chance that it won't fail. Lin Chen stood rooted to the ground, thinking hard. What did it go wrong? There's something wrong with your brain. The one who spoke was Qin Xuanjue. She maintained the energy in her furnace and deliberately sent a voice transmission to Lin Chen. Lin Chen, don't tell me you don't know the basic conditions for refining a Shangri divine pill? Lin Chen was stunned. Basic conditions? Qin Xuanjue's lips twitched. This guy, should she call him a genius or a weirdo? At first, she thought that Lin Chen had a way to deal with it, or that he was refining other medial-grade divine pills. She didn't expect that he really didn't know. The 3 elders of the Alchemist Association looked at each other and exclaimed in unison. As expected, Qin Xuanjue immediately sent a voice transmission. To refine a Shangri divine pill, after the pill condensation step, one must have the divine power of laws at the 7th level of the divine realm. Otherwise, without the suppression of the divine power of laws, the energy of the pill condensation will explode because it's too strong. At the 6th level of the divine realm, one could control many kinds of laws. At the 7th level of the divine realm, one's laws and divine power would be merged into one. Using laws would no longer require a large amount of divine power. Although Lin Chen's laws were strong, he hadn't reached the realm of merging laws and divine power. In other words, his realm wasn't that strong. This was completely a shortcoming of cultivation. No matter how strong Lin Chen's alchemy skills were, it was useless. Qin Xuanjue couldn't help but scold. Speaking of which, you actually don't know this kind of common sense? Isn't it written on the pill formula? What kind of pill formula did you learn? The corner of Lin Chen's mouth twitched. Little demon spirit. Yi Qingwu also seemed to have thought of something, and her charming dimples were dyed with an awkward red glow for the first time. Little demon secretly sent a voice transmission. Cough, cough, don't be angry. I seem to have forgotten to add a note when I wrote the pill formula back then. When I started learning alchemy, I was already at the 7th level of the divine realm. You can't blame me. After all, what kind of bad intentions can a girl like me have? Lin Chen, Qin Xuanjue. Good fellow, there are actually 2 people who don't have common sense. Hee hee. Yi Qingwu stuck out her tongue. Sorry, I was wrong. I'll dare next time. Time was of the essence. Lin Chen was in a situation that he couldn't overcome. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.